Chapter 3866. Sparring. Tower Master Luochen didn't seem to realize that he had said something inappropriate. He continued to say gently, "Little Jiu, tell me about how the nameless patriarch taught you sword techniques." Although Yun Chujio wanted to refuse, she could only tell the whole story when she saw Elder Gu and Elder Wan's threatening eyes. Although Tower Master Luchen's gaze did not fall on Yun Chujio again, his eyes flickered with a spirit that was usually absent. How great would it be if this continued? He did not ask for much. He only hoped that little Jiu would always be by his side, even if she was the one speaking and he was listening. Only in this way did he feel that there was a hint of life in his dark life. Xiao Yu's face was slightly distorted from jealousy. On what basis? On what basis could this trash be liked by Tower Master Luochen? Whether it was her family background or spirit energy, which part of her was not 100 or 1,000 times stronger than that Yin Chujio? Why did Tower Master Luochen only have eyes for that trash? Island Master Qi gave Xiao Yu a warning glance, and only then did Xiao Yu's expression recover a little. She thought to herself, in any case, this Yun Chujio did not know what was good for her and had rejected Tower Master Luochen. As long as Master helped her, Xiao Yu would definitely be the one to marry Tower Master Luochen in the end. Everyone walked forward with their own thoughts and finally arrived at the sword pool. Elder Jiu had already informed Manager Li beforehand, so there were no other disciples cultivating around the sword pool for Tower Master Luochen and the others to visit. Yun Chujio was unwilling to pay attention to Tower Master Luochen, and she was also guilty, so she didn't go near the sword pool. Instead, she sat on the stone steps below the sword pool and waited for everyone. Tower Master Luchen's attention was on the sword pool, so he didn't greet her. While Yun Chujio was looking at the scenery with her chin resting on her hand, the kitchen knife in her storage ring trembled. Yun Chujio's spiritual sense transmitted a longing feeling. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. Yun Chujio was so scared that she shivered. She said with her spiritual sense, "Little ancestor, don't cause trouble for me. Not to mention there are so many people here, even if there is no one, you can't eat anymore. If anyone finds out, I will die. You won't be able to recover either." She didn't know if the big kitchen knife understood Yun Chujio's words, but it stopped. Seeing that the big kitchen knife didn't have any reaction, Yun Chujio heaved a sigh of relief in her heart. This guy decided that he couldn't come to the sword pool anymore, or the big kitchen knife would sooner or later swallow the sword light. If that was the case, she would become the public enemy of the entire sect. However, it seemed that the sword light was useful for the repair of the big kitchen knife. She had to think of other ways to get some sword light for the big kitchen knife. Just as Yun Chujio was thinking about it, Tower Master Luochen and the others came down from the sword pool. They were probably almost done with the tour. Yun Chujio stood up and was about to leave with the others when Xiao Yu suddenly sat cross-legged on the ground. Yun Chujio ridiculed in her heart. Is this little bitch crazy? Why is she sitting on the ground for no reason? At this moment, Island Master Qi said with some gratification, "Xiao Yu must have gained some enlightenment in the sword pool. It looks like she is about to break through." Sect Master Huang and the others praised her. They just said that she was talented and had a bright future. Now they could not leave and could only wait on the spot. Tower Master Luochen did not mind. His original intention was to stay with Yun Chujio more, so he walked to Yun Chujio's side and said, "Little Jiu, your swordsmanship is very good. Why don't you spar with me?" Chapter 3867. All is fair in war. Just as Yun Chujio was about to refuse, Elder Gu said with a smile, "Yun Chujio, it's your honor to receive Tower Master Luchen's guidance. Aren't you going to thank Tower Master Luochen? Thank you for 8 generations of ancestors." Yun Chujio was furious, but there was nothing she could do, so she could only nod her head and agree. Yun Chujio was afraid that there would be killing intent during the competition later, so she did not dare to take out a treasured sword or a large kitchen knife. She only took out a tree branch from her storage ring. Elder Jiu and the others were dumbfounded. It was one thing for Yun Chujio to be arrogant during the competition with Xiao Yu, but now she was using a tree branch to spar with Tower Master Luochen. She was overestimating herself. However, it made sense. Even if she used a divine weapon, she would not be a match for Tower Master Luochen. Besides, Tower Master Luochen would not really harm her. Tower Master Luochen smiled and said to Yun Chujio, "Little Jiu, can you lend me a tree branch?" Yun Chujio gritted her teeth and handed a tree branch to Tower Master Luochen. Then she said, "It's inevitable that you don't know the importance of sparring. If I hurt you, don't blame me." Tower Master Luochen smiled faintly, "If I can make you calm down, it's worth it even if I get hurt." The small silver snake in Yun Chujia's sleeve was so angry that it was about to explode. Flirting with his woman in front of him was a blatant provocation. A competition? Very good. Let's wait and see. Yun Chujia was also very angry. She immediately raised the tree branch and stabbed it at Tower Master Luchen's heart. Yun Chujio didn't even see how Tower Master Luochen moved, but Tower Master Luochen had already arrived behind her. She jumped to the side in a sorry state and barely dodged Tower Master Luchen's tree branch. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. Yun Chujia's heart trembled. It seemed that she couldn't fight Lan Luochen with the 5-element sword technique, unless she used the half-sword technique she learned on the stone wall. However, if she used it, she would be in trouble. As the saying went, the layman would watch the show but the expert would see the trick. Sect Master Huang and the others were all powerful figures in the northern continent, so they could naturally see the difference in strength between Yun Chujio and Tower Master Luochen. They were sure that Yun Chujio wouldn't be able to withstand 10 moves. Yun Chujio had no choice but to use the 3 moves that had already been made public. Needless to say, these 3 moves were somewhat useful and temporarily blocked Tower Master Luchen's sword move. However, after 3 moves, Yun Chujio was once again trapped. Yun Chujio pondered for a moment. Since she couldn't win anyway, she might as well just lose. Therefore, Yun Chujio revealed a flaw. Tower Master Luchen's tree branch pierced into her leg. Although she didn't use her spiritual power, and Tower Master Luochen also withdrew some of his strength, Yun Chujio still staggered and fell to the ground. Tower Master Luochen hurriedly jumped to Yun Chujia's side and reached out to help her up. Just as his hand was about to touch Yun Chujia's body, a silver light flashed through Yun Chujia's sleeve. Tower Master Luochen cried out in pain, clutching his bloody right hand as he staggered back a few steps. Everyone was shocked by this unexpected turn of events. Even Yun Chujio was shocked. Although she didn't see what happened clearly, she could guess that it was the little lecherous dragon that hurt Tower Master Luochen. She rolled her eyes and pretended to take out a dagger from her sleeve. She said smugly, "How is it? This is called all deception in war. You've lost, right?" Seeing this, Elder One could not help but shout angrily, "Yun Chujio, you actually dared to hurt Tower Master Luochen. How should you be punished?" Yun Chujio curled the corners of her lips indifferently. "I've already said it in advance. It's inevitable to be injured during the sparring. Tower Master Luochen, what do you think?" Chapter 3868 What's Wrong with the Little Silver Snake? Tower Master Luchen's face was a little pale, and the wound on his hand emitted an icy chi. If he hadn't used his spiritual power to suppress it, this icy chi would probably have flowed into his dantian along with the chi. What was going on? When he heard Yun Chujia's words, his pale face revealed a trace of indulgent smile. "Elder Wan, there's no need to be harsh on Little Jiu. It's inevitable that there's no propriety in sparring. Moreover, Little Jiu is right. There's no shortage of deceit in war. I was careless." Sect Master Huang and the others had really broadened their horizons. This Tower Master Luochen really had a deep affection for Yun Chujio. He was already in such a state, yet he still protected her. TSK, this was really surprising. Yun Chujio cursed in her heart. Hypocrite. If he really treated her well, why did he chase after her and the gigolo? If it wasn't for him, puppet number 1, number 2, and number 3 wouldn't have died. Seeing Lan Luchen's pale face, Yun Chujio felt relieved. Although the little perverted dragon was a bit risky, at least it wasn't useless. It wasn't a waste for the gigolo to take it. At this time, Tower Master Luochen said to Elder Gu and Elder Wan, "There's news from the pavilion. There's an urgent matter that needs my attention. I won't disturb you anymore. Goodbye." The reason why Tower Master Luochen was in such a hurry to leave was to find a quiet place and use his spirit energy to force out the cold air from his right hand. Otherwise, the consequences would be unimaginable. Elder Gu and Elder Wan were truly surprised, but they couldn't say anything. They had originally planned to have Tower Master Ouyang personally send Tower Master Luochen off, but they didn't expect Tower Master Luochen to leave in such a hurry. As soon as Tower Master Luochen left, Xiaoyu successfully broke through. She had originally wanted to see Tower Master Luchen's appreciative gaze, but she didn't expect to hear that Tower Master Luochen had left because of an urgent matter. Her eyes instantly turned red from anger. Once Tower Master Luochen left, Sect Master Huang and the others naturally had no reason to stay. They all bid their farewells and Xiaoyu also left with Island Master Qi. However, before she left, she looked at Yun Chujio as if she had been poisoned. Yun Chujio acted as if she didn't see anything. She was in an extremely good mood now. Lan Luochen, that psychopath, had finally left. She was finally free. Elder Wan glared viciously at Yun Chujio. Yun Chujio, you've hurt Tower Master Luochen. So Tower Master Luochen didn't agree with the sect master on the share of the spiritual stone mine in the distant Song Mountains. Just wait to be punished. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks, Yun Chujio said indifferently. Elder Wan, don't tell me you have a bad memory? Tower Master Luochen didn't have any dissatisfaction because I hurt him. Are you planning to punish him? You are sharp-tongued. Just wait to be punished. Elder Wan left angrily. Elder Gu glanced at Yun Chujio, shook his head, sighed and left. Zhuang Hong gloated and said, Yun Chujio, stay away from Zhang Li in the future, or else you'll be more and more unlucky. Yun Chujio didn't know about the matter between Zhuang Hong and Zhang Li, so she just smiled indifferently and returned to her own courtyard. Back in the courtyard, Yun Chujio let out the restless butt face. Dog 2 was anxious to show off in front of a certain lord, so it said, Little fairy, the little dragon has made a great contribution today. I think Tower Master Luochen must have been seriously injured. Otherwise he wouldn't have left in such a hurry. Yun Chujio thought about it. Lan Luochen said it was an urgent matter, but he didn't take out a voice transmission talisman to check. Could it be that the little dragon had really injured him badly? Thinking of this, Yun Chujio immediately smiled like a flower and took the little dragon out of her sleeve, ready to praise it. Unexpectedly, the little silver snake closed its eyes and looked very weak. Yun Chujio was shocked. Could it be that Lan Luchen's blood was poisoned? Poisoned the little dragon? At this moment, the little silver snake's breathing became a little hurried, as if it couldn't breathe. Yun Chujio was helpless. She wasn't a veterinarian, so what should she do? Dog 2 said from the side, Little fairy, quick, quick, blow on it with your mouth or the little dragon will die. Chapter 3869. Buttface, you do it? After Buttface finished speaking, he saw that Yun Chujio really picked up the silver snake and was ready to blow on it with her mouth. He was very proud of himself. He had helped his venerable self obtain such a great benefit. His venerable self would definitely not hate what he had done previously. Just as Buttface was secretly gloating, he heard Yun Chujio say, Buttface, you have a big mouth and you are all beasts. You will definitely have a better effect than me. You do it. Buttface suddenly felt as if the sky was about to collapse. What was that? Let it blow air into the Lord's mouth? If it really dared to do that, it probably wouldn't live past today. The small silver snake's body stiffened, and with a whoosh, it broke free from Yun Chujio's hand. What a joke. If it didn't break free, would it really let Buttface kiss it? Seeing the small silver snake jump out, Yun Chujio couldn't help but be delighted. It can actually break free. It seems like it's not a big deal. Dog 2 also heaved a sigh of relief. It wouldn't dare to come up with random ideas next time. If it wasn't careful, it might dig a hole and bury itself. When the small silver snake broke free, it used up all its remaining strength and lay listlessly on the ground. Yun Chujio frowned. She naturally wouldn't believe Dog 2's nonsense about mouth-to-mouth blowing. She felt that the small silver snake might have used up too much of its spirit energy. It would be fine if it rested. However, to be on the safe side, Yun Chujio still fed the little silver snake some pills to replenish its spirit energy. She even forced Guai Chao to spit out a drop of liquid and fed it to the little silver snake. After doing all this, the little silver snake's condition improved a little, but it still looked very weak. Just as Yun Chujio was slightly relieved, the people from the discipline hall arrived. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. Yun Chujio had long expected this. She had injured Tower Master Luochen, so Old Man Ouyang would definitely punish her. However, as long as she wasn't kicked out of the Nameless Sword sect, the other punishments didn't matter. The people from the discipline hall took out a document and read it. The situation was similar to what Yun Chujio had thought. Hence, this fellow was locked up in the Nameless Patriarch's cave abode for a month. When the disciples guarding the teleportation formation saw that Yun Chujio had come again, they all looked at each other in dismay. This person could be considered to have set a record. No disciple from the Nameless Sword sect had been locked up 3 times. After the teleportation formation was activated, Yun Chujio was teleported onto the stone platform. Yun Chujio looked at the big metal pot and the things that she had left behind. Damn it, at that time she had even said that Zhang Li might be able to use it. Who would have thought that it was left behind for her? Buttface was very happy. Because there was no way to use spiritual power here, Yun Chujio would not be able to release the other dumb cuties. Then Buttface would be able to get the favor again. Yun Chujio thought about it and felt that it was good. She could take the opportunity to go to the pool every night. Maybe she would have some new gains. Therefore, for the next few nights, Yun Chujo sat on the little Wu Yun and went to the bottom of the pool to check. Unfortunately, she did not find anything new. There was no spiritual energy here and she could not cultivate. Yun Chujo could only use the big kitchen knife to practice the sword technique she saw on the stone wall. It was not a waste of time. On this day, Yun Chujo was practicing her sword technique with the big kitchen knife. The sky turned dark. Yun Chujio's heart skipped a beat. Could it be that Wu Yun had come to strike her? However, she did not know whether it was the silly cloud from before or the little girl. However, no matter which cloud it was, she had to settle the little silver snake and butt face first. Otherwise she would be struck by lightning and die. She secretly released the little Wu Yun and asked it to send butt face and the little silver snake to the pool below. This way she would have nothing to worry about. Chapter 3870. The miserable Wu Yun. A large amount of dark clouds gathered quickly. Yun Chujio realized that she had never seen Wu Yun before. She guessed that Wu Yun must have been tricked by that stupid big dark cloud. Yun Chujio looked at the dark clouds that were approaching her from afar. Her eyes were darting around. She did not have any spiritual power now, so she would not be able to withstand the lightning strike for long. However, if she planned carefully, she might be able to get a cloud wing. While Yun Chujio was pondering, Wu Yun had already floated above her. The little girl Wu Yun did not know that the one below was a pervert. It felt that the mission this time was too simple. That little girl could not use spiritual power and she could not fly. She would probably be killed in less than 10 breaths. At this moment, it heard the little girl below sigh. Sigh, it seems that I can't live anymore. I haven't lived enough. I really want to live another 500 years. The little girl Wu Yun thought to himself, at least you know your own limits, you really won't be able to live. Just as it was thinking, the little girl below waved at it. Lord Wu Yun, I reckon that you're the most powerful existence besides Tian Dao, right? I'm really envious of you. You're not an ant like me who can only be slaughtered by others. The little girl Wu Yun trembled with pride. This little girl was right. In this world besides Tian Dao, who else could contend with it? Kill it, Lord Wu Yun, before I die. I only have one wish, and that is to see you up close. Can you fulfill the humble wish of a dying person? Yun Chujio said pitifully. Wu Yun was flattered to the point of dizziness. He thought to himself, it was not a bad idea to let her take a good look at me. It could also be considered as fulfilling her last wish. Therefore Wu Yun made a decision that he would regret for the rest of his life. Wu Yun started to fall rapidly, and under He Xingjia's constant urging, it kept falling lower and lower. In the end it was only about 30 feet away from the stone platform. Yun Chujia's face revealed a look of admiration. Oh my God! Lord Wu Yun, you are indeed different from those coquettish and lowly clouds. You are so different from the rest. Right now, other than your figure, there's nothing else in my eyes. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks Lord Wu Yun, you are the mightiest and most beautiful cloud among the dark clouds, right? You are simply a combination of the beauty of heaven and earth. Just looking at you makes me intoxicated. The little girl Wu Yun had never heard such a blatant compliment before. Unknowingly, it fell lower and lower until it was less than 10 feet away from Yun Chujia's head. A glimmer of light flashed in Yun Chujia's eyes. This was her chance. While little Meng's Wu Yun was still floating in the air, she never expected the little girl below to suddenly jump up with the tip of her toes and firmly grab onto one of its wings. Little Meng's Wu Yun thought to himself, could it be that this little girl was too obsessed with it and wanted to have a close contact with it? His naive thoughts were quickly destroyed. That was because that little girl took out the large kitchen knife at her waist and started chopping at its cloud wings with all her might. Little Meng's new Wu Yun was stunned for a moment before he flew into a rage. He was tricked. He was tricked by this smelly girl. However, this smelly girl's thoughts were too simple. He didn't need to do anything. As long as he rose into the air and took the initiative to give up on that cloud wing, this smelly girl would fall to her death. At that time, it would just recall the cloud wing again. This was what little Meng's new Wu Yun thought and did, and then it was miserable. Chapter 3871. Cloud wings in hand. The little girl Wu Yun thought that Yun Chujio would be smashed into minced meat. Who would have thought that just as Yun Chujio was about to land on the ground, she was actually caught by a little Wu Yun? Damn. Did it see wrongly? How could a human contract with Wu Yun? But no matter how it looked, it could not deny that it was indeed a real little Wu Yun that was floating down below. Moreover, it was the same as the intelligent little Wu Yun. It was like seeing a ghost. The little Meng knew Wu Yun recalled the flattering words that Yun Chujio had said and trembled with hatred. This stinky girl was really too detestable. However, did she think that she would be able to occupy its cloud wings just like that? In her dreams, the most direct and brutal method was to chop this stinky girl to death. Then everything would be resolved. To take a step back, even if it couldn't kill her, it still had a way to get the cloud wings back. If she kept the cloud wings into her storage ring, it naturally wouldn't be able to do anything. But right now she was only holding onto her cloud wings. As long as it kept summoning, the cloud wings would be able to break free from her restraints. Thinking of this, the little girl, Wu Yun, started to summon her cloud wings while descending heavenly lightning. Although little Wu Yun helped Yun Chujio to carry the heavenly thunder, Yun Chujio kept struggling with the cloud wings in her arms, and her strength was getting stronger and stronger. Hei Shinjio could not bear it any longer. This fellow was naturally unwilling to let the cloud wings that he had obtained with great difficulty fly away just like that. In a moment of desperation, he bit his finger and dripped his blood onto the cloud wings. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. After he dripped his blood, he realized that he did not have any spiritual power at the moment, so it was useless even if he dripped his blood. Xiaoming's new Wu Yun thought the same as well. He trembled in disdain as he thought to himself, this stupid girl looks pretty smart but she's actually an idiot. She doesn't have any spiritual power at the moment, so it would be useless even if she were to bleed to death. However, Xiaoming's new Wu Yun soon realized that it had lost the spiritual sense connection with the cloud wings. It could only watch helplessly as its cloud wings floated towards the little Wu Yun and were devoured. Wu Yun suddenly felt that the cloud was in trouble. For a moment, it was completely confused as to who it was, where it was, and what it was doing. Hei Shinjio was so happy that she couldn't take it anymore. How could this be possible? Seeing that Wu Yun was a little confused, she naturally wouldn't let go of such an opportunity. She held a large kitchen knife in her hand and directed Wu Yun to fly towards Wu Yun, wanting to chop off another cloud wing. Wu Yun regained his senses and immediately flew into a rage, hacking at Hei Shinjio. Hei Shinjio did not have any spiritual power at the moment. Even though Wu Yun helped her to withstand part of the heavenly lightning, she still could not take it anymore. She quickly directed Wu Yun to fly around and dodge the heavenly lightning. Wu Yun naturally would not let go of Hei Shinjio so easily. He chased after her with all his might. They were inside a barrier, so there was only a limited number of places for Wu Yun to hide. Hei Shinjio was soon struck miserably. At that moment, she heard Buttface shouting at the top of his lungs, "Little fairy, come down quickly. Worryless fish." Yun Chujio's eyes lit up. She directed Wu Yun to land in the pool below and immediately sank into the water with Buttface and the silver snake. Little Meng knew Wu Yun thought resentfully, "Do you think you'll be fine if you hide under the water? It'll still kill you." However, it quickly found out that the wretched girl was gone. Little Meng knew Wu Yun searched for a long time but still couldn't find Yun Chujio. It was so angry that it made a mess before it reluctantly floated away. Chapter 3872. The little bastard who wasn't quite right. Hei Shinjio was already in the underground river, but she didn't dare to go out. Last time, the worryless fish incident had caused a commotion. If the disciples guarding the river found out, wouldn't they confess? At that time, Elder Wan, that old bastard, would definitely take the opportunity to get Master Ouyang to kick her out of the sect, so she couldn't just go out like that. Moreover, after a few days of trouble last time, she had found the remaining carefree fish in the dark river. In order to prevent further accidents, she had specially reinforced the array formation so she couldn't leave. Previously, Hei Shinjio had been very happy because she had obtained a cloud wing and her spiritual power had broken through to the 3rd level of spiritual link. But now she couldn't be happy anymore. How could she get out? Buttface, on the other hand, was swimming around in the dark river carelessly. As he swam, he muttered, "Little fairy, why do you think the water is so hot? It's so comfortable." Yun Chujio's heart skipped a beat. Although the pool was connected to the dark river, the water in the dark river was obviously hot spring water. If she could find the source of the hot spring, wouldn't she have a way to get out? This guy took out a map from his storage ring and carefully examined it. His gaze fell on Lai Yin Mountain Range, which was hundreds of miles away from the Nameless Sword sect. Lai Yin Mountain Range was famous for producing earth fire. Most of the earth fire of the major sects came from this place. The major forces reached a tacit agreement not to disturb the fire spirit beasts living in it. They only used special containers to transport the earth fire on a regular basis. It had been peaceful for so many years. There was a very famous spring in Lai Yin Mountain Range. The spring water was boiling all year round. Because the temperature was too high, there were no living things in it, so it was named King of Hell Spring. Yun Chujio felt that the source of this underground river was most likely the King of Hell Spring. She had the fire-repelling pearl on her body, so she was naturally not afraid of the heat of the King of Hell Spring and Earth Fire. However, this way she would be out of the nameless sword sect and it would be hard to explain when the time came. Just as Yun Chujio was frowning, Buttface said eagerly, "Little fairy, why don't we swim back from the vortex? Come and read on our website Wuxia World site." Thanks. Yun Chujio was just about to scold Buttface for spouting nonsense when the vortex was panting heavily. How could they swim back? However, she suddenly had a thought. She had the water-repellent pearl in her hand. Why not give it a try? Therefore Yun Chujio put Buttface into the spirit beast bag and the silver snake into her sleeve bag. She activated the water-repellent bead and swam toward the vortex. Yun Chujio was still far away from the vortex, but she couldn't move an inch. She tried several times but failed. At this moment, Buttface said in the spirit beast bag, "Little fairy, isn't Little Bastard an aquatic demon beast? Since the carefree fish can swim into the pool, Little Bastard must be able to do it too. Why don't you let it try?" Yun Chujio's eyes lit up. That's right. Thinking of the Little Bastard, Yun Chujio realized that the Little Bastard hadn't been around recently. Sometimes, when she let the dumb cuties out to play, the Little Bastard would rarely come out. This didn't seem right. Yun Chujio recalled that the Xuanwu egg had strangely become an empty shell. Could it be that the Little Bastard was in the same situation as the cat cub? Yun Chujio thought as she released the Little Bastard. She was surprised to find that the patterns on the Little Bastard's turtle shell had changed. It was exactly the same as the black tortoise shell she saw back then. Yun Chujio's heart sank. It was really the same as the cat cub situation? Yun Chujio did not know what to do next. The Little Bastard cried, "Master, master, I don't want to live anymore. I think I'm going to turn into a monster." Yun Chujio. Chapter 3873. You will not become a monster. Just as Yun Chujio was in a daze, the Little Bastard continued, "Master, ever since you gave me that thumb-sized black tortoise shell in the underground stone hall of the North Shen Kingdom, I feel that I have become different from before. I am no longer me. Look at my turtle shell. This is not what it used to look like. My claws are also different from before. I will not become a monster, right?" As the Little Bastard spoke, Yun Chujio stared into its eyes. She realized that other than fear and helplessness, there was no trace of guilt in the Little Bastard's eyes. Could it be that it was different from the cat cub? Yun Chujio decided to observe it again. However, before that she had to return to the pool. Otherwise, it would be terrible if a disciple came to inspect it. Yun Chujio thought of this and said, "Little Bastard, you don't have to be afraid. Maybe this is a good thing. Maybe it's because you've obtained the black tortoise's shell that your body has changed in the direction of the black tortoise. Yes, just like Xiaohong. Ever since it obtained the nine-tailed fox's bones, hasn't it already grown 4 tails? Yes." Hearing Yun Chujio's words, the Little Bastard's eyes suddenly lit up. "Really? Master, you didn't lie to me? I won't turn into a monster?" Yun Chujio sighed silently. She was simply speechless. As a fierce beast, Dog too was afraid of ghosts. As a monster, the Little Bastard was afraid of monsters. Was this a joke? However, Yun Chujio still comforted her. "Don't worry, you won't turn into a monster. Do you have any way to swim to the pool? If possible, I'll tie a rope around your body and you can pull me up." The Little Bastard might have solved his long-standing confusion, so he said excitedly, "No problem, this is not a difficult thing at all. Master, you don't need to tie a rope, just ride on my back. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site." Thanks. Yun Chujio looked at the Little Bastard that was only the size of a wash basin and was speechless. Ride on its back? Was this letting her be independent? However, she was soon dumbfounded when she saw that the Little Bastard began to grow at a speed visible to the naked eye, becoming 10 times its original size. Yun Chujio looked at the Little Bastard with a somewhat complicated expression. This Little Bastard suddenly gained some ability. Could it really be because of that small piece of black tortoise shell? Or was there something fishy going on? Just as Yun Chujio was thinking about it, Buttface said from inside the spirit beast bag, "Little fairy, let me out. Otherwise, others will ask." Yun Chujio thought about it and felt that it made sense. When she came, she was carrying Dog 2. If she didn't get it out, it wouldn't be easy. Yun Chujio carried Dog 2 and sat on the Little Bastard's back. She kept thinking about the Little Bastard. Unfortunately, until the Little Bastard brought Yun Chujio safely into the pool, Yun Chujio couldn't think of a reason. She could only let the little bastard become smaller and bring it to the stone platform on the little dark cloud. Just as Yun Chujio was thinking of asking the little bastard in detail, there was a flash of light on the teleportation array. Someone had actually come. Yun Chujio looked at the little bastard and in a moment of panic she stuffed it directly into the big metal pot. Almost as soon as Yun Chujio stuffed the little bastard into the big metal pot, the person who had been teleported arrived. Zhuang Hong could not help but be stunned when he saw Yun Chujio, and then he said mockingly, "Yun Chujio, have you been struck by lightning until your head is bald? However, it is really surprising that you have not been struck to death by lightning." Chapter 3874 Have you never seen a bald head before? Yun Chujio subconsciously wiped her head. It was indeed a bald head. Damn. She had been thinking of a way earlier, but she had actually forgotten about this. It was over. Her glorious image had completely collapsed. Just as He Xinjiu was in a daze, Zhuang Hong said with a hint of mockery, "Tower Master Luochen heard that you were punished, so he specially interceded with the sect leader to ask him not to punish you. You really have some tricks up your sleeve." Yun Chujio raised her eyebrows. "Uncle Master Zhuang Hong, why do I feel that your words are sour? Since you are so envious of me, why don't you go and seduce Tower Master Luochen? Who knows, Tower Master Luochen might have both men and women." Zhuang Hong's face was livid with anger. He suppressed his anger and sneered, "I will not stoop to your level. Let's go. Do you still want to stay here for a long time?" Yun Chujio felt that there was something fishy going on. Otherwise, as the personal disciple of the sect master, why would Zhuang Hong come to pick her up personally? However, she was indeed tired of staying here. It was not bad to take the opportunity to leave. Therefore He Xinjiu started to pack up her things. She even tied up the quilt and placed it on the teleportation array. Finally she carried the big metal pot behind her. Zhuang Hong looked impatient. He thought to himself, this Yun Chujio is really petty. What's the point of having all this junk? Finally Yun Chujio packed up her things and stood on the teleportation array. A white light flashed and Yun Chujio and Zhuang Hong were teleported outside. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. The disciples guarding the teleportation array froze when they saw Yun Chujio's shiny hairstyle. This person had seen through the mortal world and was about to become a monk? Yun Chujio glared at them. What are you looking at? Haven't you seen a bald head before? This hairstyle is cool. The disciples curled their lips. Could it be that Yun Chujio had lost her mind? Yun Chujio's heart was actually more miserable than anyone else's. Damn it, that darn cute little Wu Yun. The next time she saw it, she would definitely bring its cloud wings over and let it run away. This bastard randomly put all these things into her storage ring. Of course, the reason why she took all these things down was to hide the little bastard. While everyone was not paying attention while she was taking in dog too. She also put the little bastard into her spirit beast bag. Yun Chujio took out a handkerchief and tied it on her head. She still had two cute little tails behind her. When the disciples guarding the teleportation array saw this, they were a little surprised. They did not expect that Yun Chujio would not only not look ugly, but also look more beautiful than the other female disciples. Just as Yun Chujio was about to separate from Zhuang Hong said, "The sect leader is looking for you for something. Come with me." Yun Chujio pouted. She knew that there was something fishy going on. Yun Chujio followed Zhuang Hong to the meeting hall. Not only was sect leader Ouyang present, almost all the higher-ups of the sect were present. Did something happen? And it seemed like it had something to do with her? Everyone was stunned when they saw the handkerchief on Yun Chujio's head. However, when they recalled the heavenly lightning, they immediately understood. They couldn't help but sigh in their hearts. Yun Chujio was really lucky to not be struck to death by the heavenly lightning. Although they knew that the female emperor of Fenghua was a person, they didn't take it to heart. Hence, no one bothered to investigate Yun Chujio's matter. Hence, they didn't know that He Xinjiu wasn't afraid of being struck by lightning. Of course, even if they sent people to investigate based on how these people felt that they were superior to others, they would only think that this was a rumor and wouldn't believe it. Chapter 3875 was to scheme against her spirit stones. Yun Chujio bowed and waited obediently. Sure enough, Master Ouyang coughed dryly and said, "Yun Chujio, you hurt Tower Master Luochen for no reason. Do you know your crime?" Yun Chujio said obediently, "I know my crime. I won't do it again." Master Ouyang nodded, then paused and said, "Tower Master Luochen sent a message to me to plead on your behalf. That's why I let you go in advance. However, because you hurt Tower Master Luochen, Tower Master Luochen forced our nameless sword sect to give up 2 portions of the spiritual stone mine in the distant Song Mountains. Otherwise, our nameless sword sect would have to hand you over to him. I know that you already have someone who is happy for you, and you are a disciple of our nameless sword sect. We will protect you, but you have to know that 2 portions of the spiritual stone mine are too important to our nameless sword sect. If we want to maintain such a large sect, it will be difficult for us to move an inch without spirit stones. So I am in a difficult position. I have gathered all the elders here to discuss this matter. You are the party involved. What do you have to say? Yun Chujio secretly cursed Lan Luochen in her heart. He was really shameless. He was simply using everything he had. He was actually able to use such a despicable move. Seeing that Yun Chujio was silent, Master Ouyang continued, Tower Master Luochen is the best candidate for a husband in the hearts of the women of the northern continent. Actually, it's not bad for you to marry him. Otherwise, don't be stubborn. When the small silver snake in Yun Chujio's sleeve heard Master Ouyang's words, it immediately crossed Master Ouyang's name in its heart. However, he was more annoyed. After he turned into the little silver snake, his spiritual power was insufficient. Otherwise, that strike would have at least taken half of Lan Luchen's life, so he temporarily did not have the energy to make things difficult for the little rascal. Yun Chujio only smiled bitterly, but she still did not say anything. This fellow was very shrewd. She knew that Master Ouyang definitely had other things to say. Otherwise, why not just tie her up and send her to the 9 pavilions? Why did he have to flirt with her here? Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. Sure enough, Master Ouyang changed the topic. Sai, you little girl are really passionate. It seems that you want to change your mind. We've all been young before and we know that it's not sweet to force things. How about this? As long as you can make up for the 2 portions of the spirit stone mine, this matter will be treated as if it never happened. What do you think? Yun Chujio cursed in her heart. She had already said it, there must be a plan. After all this trouble, it turned out that they were scheming against her spirit stones. Yun Chujio pretended to be pleasantly surprised. Really? Sect Master, thank you very much. Since I was the one who caused the trouble, it's only right for me to compensate the spirit stones. However, how many spirit stones do I need to make up for the 2 portions of the spirit stone mine? When I left the Towering Sky Empire, I didn't bring too many spirit stones, so I'm very poor. If it's too much, I can't afford it. Master Ouyang saw Yun Chujio's pleasantly surprised look, and his old face was a little uncomfortable. His current behavior was similar to taking advantage of a burning house. However, if he didn't do this, he wouldn't be able to explain to the other elders, especially since Elder One had always been eyeing the position of Master, so he had to be careful. Master Ouyang coughed dryly, thinking that since this little girl did not have much money, he would just say it according to the minimum amount, so he said, 1 billion upper-grade spirit stones should be enough. Yun Chujio heaved a sigh of relief in her heart. Damn it, she was shocked. She thought that it would be a lot of spirit stones. So it was only 1 billion. If Master Ouyang knew that 1 billion upper-grade spirit stones was a drop in the ocean for this guy, he would probably regret it so much that his intestines would turn green. If he had known earlier, he would have said more. Chapter 3876 didn't even have a window. However, even if 1 billion upper-grade spirit stones was just a drop in the bucket to Hei Xinjiu, this fellow was like an iron rooster and didn't want to pluck a single drop. Thus, this fellow said with a frightened expression, How much? 1 billion? Master Ouyang, you're taking my life. Before Master Ouyang could say anything, Elder One snorted coldly, Since you don't have the money, then I'll send you to the 9 pavilions. Yun Chujio's expression immediately changed from shock to anger. Elder One, I don't like what you're saying. What do you mean by sending me to the 9 pavilions since you don't have the money? Our nameless sword sect isn't the furnace pavilion, nor is it a place to abduct, sell, or mouth people. You're also not a pimp, so why are you still in the business of selling people? Sect Master, elders, although I'm young, I can still tell the difference between good and bad. I know that you didn't really ask me to pay 1 billion high-grade spirit stones today just to punish me. To let me realize my mistake so that I won't make it again in the future. But when Elder One said this, how did it change its meaning? Our nameless sword sect has suddenly become a low-grade sect that forgets righteousness and bullies the weak and fears the strong. I remember that the first rule of our nameless sword sect is that all sect disciples must unite and help each other. Betrayal and killing each other are strictly prohibited. Elder One's behavior should be locked up in the bitter cold cave for at least 100 years. Elder One was so angry that he almost spat out a mouthful of blood. Didn't he just say that one sentence? How did he become a pimp in this little girl's mouth? And he was imprisoned in the bitter cold cave for 100 years? I'm so angry. Just as Elder One was about to refute, Yun Chujio raised her voice and continued, come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. Also, when I was sparring with the 9 Pavilions Pavilion Master, I already made it clear in advance that swords and sabers have no eyes. If we are injured, we will not pursue the matter. Why is the 9 Pavilions Pavilion Master using this to blackmail our nameless sword sect? He's testing our nameless sword sect's bottom line. If we really give in, then the 9 Pavilions will take an inch and take a mile in the future. Who knows, they might even use some groundless crime to threaten our nameless sword sect in the future. The consequences were unimaginable. What was the first key to a sword? It was to boldly go forward without fear. Although our nameless sword sect wasn't as powerful as the 9 Pavilions, do we have to submit without dignity? Sigh, my words may not be right, so please don't laugh at me, seniors. As for the 1 billion upper-grade spirit stones, I will hand them over even if I have to sell everything I have. So, Elder One, please give up on the idea of taking credit from Tower Master Luochen. After Yun Chujio finished speaking, the meeting hall fell into a dead silence. Some people revealed a look of shame. Yes, the first key of a sword was to move forward bravely and fearlessly. However, they had lost their heart and were even inferior to this little girl. Some people thought even deeper. The actions of the 9-tiered pavilion might really be a test. The 9-tiered pavilion had been restless recently. If they surrendered this time, it might really be as Yun Chujio had said. The 9-tiered pavilion would continue to provoke and pressure them, nibbling away at the power of their nameless sword sect. Master Ouyang took Yun Chujio's last words to heart. Elder One had always coveted the position of the sect master. If he used this matter to build a relationship with Tower Master Luochen, that would be terrible. Finally, someone broke the silence. Elder Gu sighed. Sect Master, what the little girl said makes sense. I think this matter still needs to be discussed. We can't just give in like this. We should fight with reason. A few other elders chimed in. Their meaning was similar to what Elder Gu had said. Master Ouyang nodded. All right, then we'll discuss this matter again. Yun Chujio, you can leave first. After Yun Chujio bowed, she strolled out of the meeting hall. This fellow snorted coldly in his heart. Little fellow, you still want to scheme against my money? No way. There wasn't even a window. Chapter 3877 must not be made known to her. After Yun Chujio returned to the courtyard, she released the little bastard and asked him in detail. However, she still did not find any flaws, so she could only put the matter aside for the time being. After Yun Chujio finished interrogating the little bastard, she took out a hair-growing pill from her storage ring and smeared it on her head. As she smeared it on her head, she hummed a little tune as if she did not care at all. Dog 2 said with a look of admiration, Little fairy, I really admire you. You've already been chopped into a bald head, yet you're still so happy? Aren't you afraid of losing face? Yun Chujio said rather casually, rather than worrying about this and that, it's better to accept it calmly. Besides, can you control the mouths of others? They can say whatever they want to say. The speaker did not mean it, but the listener did. The small silver snake narrowed its vertical eyes and accepted it calmly? Or else, he would take the initiative to tell the little rascal the truth? However, a certain being quickly dispelled this idea. Because he really could not imagine what Yun Chujio would look like after learning that he had turned into a snake. This was simply a stain on his life. He absolutely could not let her know. However, ever since he arrived at Yun Chujio's place, although his emotions had fluctuated quite frequently, it had only loosened the seal a little. He had not been able to break the seal since then. He still had many things to do. Could it be that he could only continue to wait like this? Dog 2's pair of dog eyes caught a glimpse of the silver snake in deep thought. It suddenly had a flash of inspiration and decided to be a doghead strategist to help a certain venerable one. This fellow found an opportunity to say to the silver snake, Venerable one, it won't do for you to wrap yourself around the little fairy's wrist at night. It will take a long time before you can break the seal. Try kissing the little fairy secretly tonight. You might be able to successfully break the seal. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. The silver snake glanced at Dog 2 coldly, but it felt that this idea was not bad. Should it give it a try? That night, in the dead of night, the small silver snake crawled onto Yun Chujio's bed under Buttface's eager gaze. Then it slowly approached Yun Chujio's seductive lips. The small silver snake's vertical pupils were stained with a hint of profoundness. 5 inches, 3 inches, 1 inch. Just as it was about to kiss Yun Chujio suddenly opened her eyes. The small silver snake immediately felt that the whole snake was in bad shape. Yun Chujio grabbed the small silver snake 7 inches. Little perverted dragon, what do you want to do? A certain lord's mind was blank. What do you want to do? I want to kiss you. I can't say it even if I'm beaten to death. Buttface was even more anxious than a certain lord. Oh my god, what if the little fairy strangles the lord in anger? Moreover, this was its bad idea. The lord would not forgive it. The little fairy was quick-witted and said with a terrified face, "Little fairy, this is all my fault. I was playing with the little dragon and accidentally slapped it away. Then it flew to your place. This is really just a coincidence." Yun Chujio frowned and looked at Buttface and the little silver snake suspiciously. She saw that the little silver snake's eyes did not show any guilt. She snorted and threw the little silver snake to the ground. She said to the two, "Go to the outer room. You are not allowed to enter the bedroom in the future." Buttface wanted to cry, but he had no tears. It was over. His Majesty would definitely vent his anger on him. His dog life could not be saved. Sure enough, when the two arrived at the outer room, the small silver snake looked at Buttface as if he was a dead dog. It was frighteningly cold. Buttface hurriedly expressed his loyalty. "Your Majesty, don't worry. I will definitely think of a good idea. Please trust me one more time." A certain one snorted, "No longer pay attention to it." Chapter 3878 was extremely inappropriate. The next morning, Yun Chujio scolded Buttface again. Buttface felt that he was not a dog on the inside and he could not live like this anymore. In the following period of time, the Nameless Sword sect had been negotiating with the 9 pavilions about the situation of the spiritual stone mine in the distant Song Mountains. The Nameless Sword sect had even joined forces with the Xuanji sect and other sects to pressure the 9 pavilions. In the end, the 9-storied pavilion was finally allowed to renew the contract according to its original allocation. As for the matter of 1 billion upper-grade spiritual stones, Hei Shinjio naturally treated it as if it did not exist at all. On this day Yun Chujio was cultivating when her identity jade token started to tremble. This fellow could not help but frown. It was time for the sect mission again. How troublesome. Actually, this fellow was willing to go out for a stroll, but Tower Master Luochen had never given up. He might take the opportunity to capture her, so this fellow did not want to go on any damn sect mission for the time being. However, as a sect disciple, he could only listen to the sect's arrangements. Even if he was an inner disciple, he still had to carry out sect missions, just less than outer disciples. Yun Chujio reluctantly left the courtyard and came to the bounty hall. When she received the mission file, Yun Chujio was quite surprised to find that Zhang Li's name appeared in her group. Previously, Zhang Li had not been allowed to go out for a long time because he had been possessed by the devil? Why was he allowed to go out on a mission this time? And coincidentally, he was in the same group as her? There couldn't be anything fishy going on here, right? Yun Chujio went to look at the remaining 8 members. Other than Zhao Hui, who was considered an acquaintance, the other 7 names were unfamiliar and did not ring a bell. She looked at the mission again and heaved a sigh of relief. This mission was not difficult. Lai Yan wanted them to go to the Raging Flame Mountain Range to collect earth fire. The Raging Flame Mountain Range was only a few hundred li away from the Nameless Sword sect. Moreover, the major forces were all there to collect earth fire. They were not afraid that the 9 pavilions would take her away. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. Perhaps it was just a coincidence that Zhang Li and her were arranged to be in a group? Yun Chujio pondered as she walked out of the bounty hall. Not long after she walked out, she heard someone calling her from behind. She turned around and saw that the person calling her was Zhao Hui. "Junior Sister Yun, can we talk in private?" Zhao Hui said with a worried expression. Yun Chujio raised her eyebrows and immediately followed Zhao Hui to a secluded place. "Junior Sister Yun, I heard that you are quite familiar with Martial Uncle Zhang Li?" Zhao Hui asked probingly. Yun Chujio nodded. "Previously, we were locked up together in the Nameless Ancestral Master's cave abode for a few days, so we don't have much of a relationship." "What? Is there something wrong with this mission?" Zhao Hui laughed bitterly. "Of course there's something wrong, something very wrong. Do you know why Martial Uncle Zhang Li was demoted to an outer sect disciple back then? It was because of an accident that happened when they went to collect earth fire. Other than Martial Uncle Zhang and Martial Uncle Wan, all 5 of their personal disciples died. This caused a huge sensation in the entire northern continent. After all, the personal disciples of the sect are the future pillars of the sect." Yun Chujio frowned. I heard that collecting the earth fire is very simple, isn't it? It's fine to use a special method to collect it when we get there. How did we lose 5 personal disciples? Zhao Hui sighed. Junior Sister Yun, you might not know this, but the fire spirit beasts that live in the blazing flame mountain range are divided into 2 types. One is an ordinary fire spirit beast, and the other is a king-level fire spirit beast. Lai Yan was stunned. Yun Chujio was taken aback. She asked curiously, aren't fire spirit beasts exotic beasts? Why is there such a difference? Chapter 3879 King Fire Spirit Beast. When she mentioned fire spirit beasts, Yun Chujio couldn't help but think of her 9 fire spirit beasts. It wasn't that she was heartless, but that the fire spirit beasts were special and couldn't be carried around with her. When she was safe and sound in the future, she would definitely think of a way to bring them to her side. Zhao Hui smiled and said, Junior Sister Yun, you only know one but you don't know the other 2. Exotic beasts also have levels, so fire spirit beasts are naturally divided into ordinary and king. Ordinary fire spirit beasts are a little timid. They hide in the depths of the mountain range and rarely show themselves. They also don't take the initiative to attack humans, so we usually collect earth fire produced by ordinary fire spirit beasts. However, king fire spirit beasts are different. Their territorial awareness is very strong, and they don't allow anyone to go near their territory, let alone collect earth fire. Yun Chujio nodded, but this was understandable. After all, the towering sky continent was much more advanced than the Qingxian continent, so it was natural for them to have a better understanding of fire spiritual beasts. Zhao Hui continued, of course the quality of the 2 types of earth fire is very different. Of course, the king fire spiritual beast's earth fire is better, but for their own safety, no one has any intention of going after the king fire spiritual beast's earth fire. However, 5 years ago, Uncle Master Zhongli insisted on doing things his own way. He just had to bring Uncle Master Wan and the others to the King Fire Spirit Beast's territory to collect earth fire. This angered the King Fire Spirit Beast and caused a huge disaster. Logically speaking, with such a past, the Bounty Hall should not have allowed Uncle Master Zhang to do the task of collecting earth fire. Wasn't this poking people's hearts? Most importantly, the other 7 people who went on this mission were more or less related to the 5 direct disciples who died. Junior Sister Yun, do you think this is a coincidence? Yun Chujio frowned. It was obvious that someone had deliberately arranged this. The mastermind was either Wan Qingba or Zhuang Hong. Could it be that they wanted to take the opportunity to get rid of Zhang Li and her? Zhao Hu's face was full of worry. When he saw the mission file, his head buzzed. This mission was definitely muddy water, but he could not refuse the sect mission, so he could only come to Yun Chujio to discuss it. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. Although Yun Chujio had let the nightmare beast tamper with part of Zhao Hu's memories about the incident at the Fallen Goose Mountain village, the remaining memories were enough for Zhao Hui to recognize Yun Chujio's ability, so he came to her to discuss this matter. Yun Chujio thought for a moment, then said, since the mission has been given, there is no possibility of changing it. When the time comes, we will act according to the circumstances. Zhao Hui could not help but feel a little disappointed. He thought that Yun Chujio would have some countermeasures, so he could only sigh and leave. Yun Chujio narrowed her eyes and strolled to Zhang Li's courtyard. Zhang Li saw that Yun Chujio did not show any surprise. Apparently, he had guessed the purpose of Yun Chujio's visit. Martial Uncle Zhang, tell me in detail what happened 5 years ago. Yun Chujio went straight to the point. Zhang Li had a pained expression on his face. Even though 5 years had passed, he was still constantly tormented by guilt and self-blame. 5 years ago, Zhang Li could be said to be in the limelight. He was the leader of his generation. Wan Qingba and he had always had a good relationship. The 2 of them often went on missions together. At that time, a relatively simple mission like collecting earth fire was not the place for a true disciple. However, Wan Qingba encouraged Zhang Li to say that he wanted to see what the fire spirit beast looked like. Zhang Li was driven by curiosity and agreed. The manager of the Bounty Hall naturally would not offend a true disciple, so he gave the original task of an outer disciple to Zhang Li and a few other true disciples. Chapter 3880 The cause of Wan Pengcheng's father's death. After accepting the mission, Zhang Li immediately led his junior brothers to the raging flame mountain range in high spirits. Lai Yin was the first person Zhang Li had met. At the beginning, Zhang Li had only intended to gather earth fire in the area of ordinary fire spirit beasts. He had no intention of going to the area of king fire spirit beasts. Their luck was very good. Not only did they successfully gather earth fire, but they were also lucky enough to see an ordinary fire spirit beast. Zhongli and the others were all very excited. Just as Zhongli was planning to bring his junior brothers back to the Nameless Sword sect, Wan Qingba kept mentioning the King Fire Spirit Beast, whether intentionally or not. He also said that if the Nameless Sword sect could obtain the King Fire Spirit Beast's earth fire, then it would definitely be of great benefit to sword forging. It was simply a great meritorious service to the Nameless Sword sect. It was just that no one had dared to try it. Was really a pity. Zhongli was originally proud and arrogant. After being instigated by Wan Qingba, his blood immediately rushed to his head. He immediately decided to go to the King Fire Essence Beast's area to take a look. The other few successive disciples were also extremely curious about the King Fire Essence Beast. Moreover, they were the proud sons of heaven and were also very proud. They immediately hit it off. On the contrary, when Wan Qingba saw that Zhongli really wanted to go to the King Fire Essence Beast's area, he kept trying to dissuade him. However, his dissuasion was more like a provocation, which strengthened the determination of Zhongli and the others. Although Zhongli and the others were proud and arrogant, they were not fools. Therefore, they only looked around the outer area of the King Fire Spirit Beast to probe, and did not enter the territory of the King Fire Spirit Beast. Unexpectedly, even though they were in the outer area, they still attracted 3 King Fire Spirit Beasts and began to attack them in a very violent manner. After a fierce battle, only Zhongli and Wan Qingba were lucky enough to escape, and the other 5 core disciples all died. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. Zhongli's expression became even more pained when he said this. It was as if he saw the scene of his 5 junior brothers being killed again. Even though he had now realized that he had been tricked by Wan Qingba. But if it wasn't for his pride, it wouldn't have resulted in such a tragedy. Then how did you and Wan Qingba escape? Yin Chujiu asked. I have a defensive immortal artifact that my master gave me which saved my life. As for Wan Qingba, maybe it's because he has something to save his life. After all, Elder Wan is quite rich. Zhongli said with uncertainty. Yun Chujiu nodded. She suddenly remembered something and asked curiously, I heard that Wan Qingba is Wan Pengcheng's uncle. What about Wan Pengcheng's father? 6 years ago Wan Pengcheng's father died during a mission. At that time, Elder Wan was heartbroken. Fortunately, he still had Wan Qingba and Wan Pengcheng. Later on he gradually calmed down. Yun Chujiu touched her chin. Oh my god, it sounds like this sect mission is really dangerous. Why do people always lose their lives because of it? Zhongli smiled bitterly and said, the path of cultivation is to fight with the heavens, so it is naturally very dangerous. Wan Qingba is really lucky. When Wan Pengcheng's father was in trouble, he was also there, so he was lucky to save his life. Yun Chujiu asked curiously, then how did Wan Pengcheng's father die? Although Zhongli wondered why Yun Chujiu was so interested in Wan Pengcheng's father, he still answered, I am not sure about the specific situation, but it seems that he was also bitten to death by a demonic beast. In the end, not even his body was left behind. Yun Chujiu's heart moved. Wan Qingba had escaped death twice, and the dead were both attacked by demonic beasts. Was this just a coincidence or was there another mystery behind it? Yun Chujiu secretly shook her head again. Wan Pengcheng's father was Wan Qingba's biological brother, so how could he harm his own biological brother? She must be thinking too much. Chapter 3881. Laiyan Mountain Range. Yun Chujiu temporarily put down the doubts in her heart. With a faint smile, she said to Zhongli, Martial Uncle Zhang, you probably know that many of the people who went on this mission together are related to those few true disciples who passed away. I'm afraid that they will make things difficult for you during the mission. Can you bear it? If you feel that you can't bear it, then I'll give you an idea. You can pretend to be possessed again. I'm afraid that the bounty hall won't dare to let you go on the mission. Zhongli laughed bitterly. What's there to be unable to bear? This is what I should bear. Moreover, if I can't even bear this, how can I fight against Wan Qingba? Yun Chujiu had already expected this, so she did not try to persuade Lai Yan any further. She only asked about the situation in the Raging Flame Mountain Range, and then hopped back to her own courtyard. The next day Yun Chujiu arrived at the meeting place on time. Yun Chujiu secretly looked at the other 7 disciples. They were indeed unfamiliar, but their relationship seemed to be very good. They gathered together and chatted cheerfully. When they saw Yun Chujiu, the 7 people didn't say anything. It was as if they were blind. Only Zhao Hui nodded to Yun Chujiu as a form of greeting. A moment later Zhongli also arrived. When the 7 people saw Zhongli, their faces instantly darkened. Each of them glared at Zhongli as if they wished they could tear Zhongli into pieces. One of the disciples called Yuan Qi said in a strange tone, "Yo, isn't this the famous martial uncle Zhang? You're the outstanding disciple of our nameless sword sect. How did you end up on a mission with US Outer Court disciples? Come and read on our website Wuxia World site." "Thanks immediately," a disciple called Han Jie said in disdain. "What outstanding disciple? He's just an Outer Court disciple now, yet he still has the face to live. He's simply unscrupulous. Back then, my uncle treated him well from the bottom of his heart, but he was actually killed by him. If it wasn't for the sect leader protecting him, such a person should have been expelled from the sect. If it wasn't for him, would we still be outer sect disciples? Perhaps we would have become inner sect disciples long ago." The other few people also echoed one after another. The reason why they hated Zhongli so much was actually very little because of the loss of their loved ones, but because the loss of a true disciple was a great loss to them and their family. It must be known that a true disciple would most likely become an elder of the sect in the future. This would be very beneficial to the family, but now, it had all become a bubble. Therefore they naturally hated Zhongli to the bone. Zhongli's face was a little pale. Even though he was mentally prepared for this, hearing these words, he was still tormented by self-blame and guilt. At this moment, Yun Chujio said lightly, "It's getting late, let's hurry up and set off." Han Jie glared at Yun Chujio. "A dog with a mouse is meddling in other people's business." "All right, we've already discussed it. The leader of this mission is Senior Brother Yuan, so we have to listen to Senior Brother Yuan's arrangements. If anyone doesn't listen to the arrangements when we come back to report, we'll teach them a lesson." Yun Chujio couldn't be bothered to argue with such an idiot, so she didn't say anything. Yuan Qi said a few words with a proud expression before summoning his flying spirit tool. An hour later, everyone had no choice but to get off the flying spirit tool. Because flying was prohibited around the Raging Flame Mountain range, they could only go there on foot. Lai Yin was the leader of this mission. Chapter 3882 was not a rare delicacy. Although they were still dozens of miles away from Lai Yin mountain range, everyone could already feel the obvious increase in temperature. As they got closer and closer to Lai Yin mountain range, their foreheads began to be covered with fine beads of sweat, and soon their bodies were also soaked in sweat. Yun Chujio had beads spat out from Guai Chao on her body, so she did not feel any discomfort. Zhang Li's spiritual power was much higher than Yuan Qi and the others, so he was not as embarrassed as they were. Yuan Qi saw this and felt rather unbalanced, so he started to ridicule Zhang Li again. The others also followed suit. Although Zhang Li's face was still a little pale, he seemed to have gotten used to it, so it was not a big deal. Yun Chujio complained in her heart. This Zhang Li only had a good character and felt that he was in the wrong, so he just accepted it. Otherwise, whether it was seniority or spiritual power, Zhang Li would have more than enough time to deal with this bunch of idiots and let them do whatever they wanted. However, she didn't know what these idiots were planning. She didn't think that their goal was just to mock Zhang Li verbally. Finally, everyone arrived at the place where the earth fire was gathered. The people of Xuanji sect were gathering the earth fire. Yuan Qi went over to greet them and then instructed everyone to gather the earth fire. The earth fire was extremely hot, so naturally, everyone wouldn't use their hands to gather it. Instead, they would set up several arrays and place the special containers that stored the earth fire in them. When the time was up, they would close the arrays. Therefore, the three of them started to collect the earth fire in groups. Needless to say, Yun Chujio was naturally in a group with Zhang Li and Zhao Hui. The remaining 6 people were divided into 2 groups. As for Yuan Qi, he was patrolling around and did not have to do any personal work. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks, Zhao Hui had done similar missions before, so he was very familiar with it. After activating the array, he said to Yun Chujio and Zhang Li, "Martial Uncle Zhang, Junior Sister Yun, we will just stand guard by the side." Perhaps it was because he remembered the past, so Zhang Li agreed in a low voice and lowered his head silently. On the other hand, Yun Chujio was chatting and laughing with Zhao Hui. She even took out some peanuts and spiritual potatoes and placed them near the earth fire to roast. The little silver snake in Yun Chujio's sleeve pocket felt a little sour. What was so funny? What was there to talk about? How shallow. Besides, what was so good about roasted peanuts and roasted spiritual potatoes? Even I don't want to eat them. Just as a certain someone was thinking about it, a few peeled peanuts were thrown into his sleeve. A certain someone hesitated for a moment but still ate them. He didn't like to eat them, he just didn't want to waste them. The speed of gathering earth fire was relatively slow, so Yun Chujio and the others had to stay here for at least 3 days. The matter progressed very smoothly, and 2 days passed very quickly. On the 3rd day, the Xuanji sect had finished collecting the earth fire and left, leaving only 10 people from the Nameless Sword sect. They only needed to stay for another day, and they could return to the Nameless Sword sect the next morning. Zhao Hui became a little nervous. He felt that Yuan Qi and the others were going to make a move. However, in the past 2 days, Yuan Qi and the others did not do anything other than ridicule him. Could it be that he was thinking too much? That night, Han Jie covered his stomach and said that he wanted to go to the toilet. He asked Yuan Qi to cover for him. Yuan Qi had always been on good terms with him, so he agreed readily. Yun Chujia's eyes flashed. She also covered her stomach and shouted that she wanted to go to the toilet. Zhao Hui looked at her speechlessly. He thought that this junior sister Yun was good in every way, but she was too careless. Chapter 3883. Why did you light up the smoke? Yuan Qi said a few words in a weird tone, and the others agreed with him. After a while, they waved their hands indicating that Yun Chujio could go. Yun Chujio naturally didn't really go to the bathroom. She felt that there was something wrong with Han Jie, so she wanted to go and see what was going on. Yun Chujio restrained her aura and quickly chased after the direction where Han Jie had left. After turning a bend in the mountain, Yun Chujio saw smoke rising not far away, while Han Jie stood at the side with a cold smile. Yun Chujio's heart sank and she shouted, "Han Jie, what are you doing?" Han Jie was so scared that he shivered. When he turned around and saw Yun Chujio, a guilty look flashed across his eyes. "What do you mean? What am I doing? I came here to take a look after I went to the toilet and found that there was smoke here. Instead it was you. What are you doing here?" Yun Chujio sniffed the smoke and did not notice that there was anything special added to it. However, it was obvious that Han Jie did not have good intentions when he lit up the smoke in the middle of the night. Could it be that he was sending a message to someone? Yun Chujio was too lazy to waste her breath on him. She ordered Xiao Hanyo to curse him. Then, she took advantage of the time when he was staggering to imprison his spiritual power and knocked him unconscious. Then, she quickly splashed water on the withered grass that was emitting smoke. Only when the withered grass stopped emitting smoke did she drag Han Jie back like a dead dog. Yuan Qi and the others were stunned at first, then they flew into a rage. "Yun Chujio, what did you do to Han Jie? Do you want to harm your fellow disciples?" Yun Chujio sneered, "Harm my fellow disciples? I was about to ask you guys. Han Jie just lit a pile of smoke over at Shanwan Air. What does he want? Do you know anything about it? Come and read on our website Wuxia World site." Thanks. Yuan Qi and the others were at a loss. Then they said angrily, "What, lighting the smoke? What do you mean, do we know anything about it? You are talking nonsense. Hurry up and release Han Jie." Yun Chujio saw that Yuan Qi and the others did not look like they were lying. She could not help but feel suspicious. Could it be that Han Jie was the only one who did this? On second thought, she was really stupid. Whether it was Wan Qingba or Zhuang Hong, they would probably only bribe one person for insurance. Otherwise, the risk of leakage would be too great. It seemed that Yuan Qi and the others were just a bunch of unlucky people. Yun Chujio thought of this and splashed cold water on Han Jie to wake him up. Han Jie immediately shouted, "Senior brother Yuan, you guys have to make a decision for me. This Yun Chujio knocked me out for no reason. She is taking revenge on me. She is showing off to you guys." Yuan Qi and the others were immediately furious. "Yun Chujio, what are you trying to do? If you don't release Han Jie immediately, we will not be polite." Yun Chujio couldn't be bothered to look at these idiots. If it wasn't for the fact that Han Jie was a sect disciple, she would have directly searched his soul. She couldn't be bothered to waste her breath on them. "Marshal Uncle Zhang, Senior Brother Zhao, I'll leave these people to you. Don't let them disturb me," Yun Chujio said coldly. Although Zhang Li and Zhao Hui were also dumbfounded, they still listened to Yun Chujio's words and stood in front of Yuan Qi and the others. Even though Yuan Qi and the others usually mocked and ridiculed Zhang Li, if they were to really make a move they would be terrified. Zhang Li was a true disciple, and his seniority was 1 generation higher than theirs. How could they be a match for Zhang Li? Yun Chujio looked at Han Jie with a cold gaze, then she took the large kitchen knife and cut his leg. "Tell me, what do you want to do? If you don't tell me, I will help you sprinkle some chili to stop the bleeding." Chapter 3884 had been sold, yet she was still counting the money for him. Han Jie cried out in pain. He had never thought that Yun Chujio would be so ruthless. She would really force a confession out of him. Yuan Qi and the others were also shocked. Just as they were about to stop him, they were stopped by Zhang Li and Zhao Hui. Zhao Hui said with a cold face, "Everyone, junior sister Yun wouldn't do this for no reason. There must be something wrong here. Please calm down." While Yuan Qi and the others were hesitating, Yun Chujio had already sprinkled the chili in her hand onto Han Jie's wound. Han Jie wasn't even shouting at them anymore. "Senior brother Yuan, you can't just ignore me. We are brothers. You can't just stand by and do nothing." Han Jie shouted loudly. When Yuan Qi and the others heard that, they couldn't be bothered anymore. They cursed Yun Chujio as they drew their swords and started fighting with Zhang Li and Zhao Hui. Yun Chujio's eyes darkened. She had thought that they were all from the same sect and wanted to save their lives. Since they were courting death, then they should just wait for death. Thinking of this, Yun Chujio no longer cared about Han Jie, who was wailing like a ghost. Instead, she said to Zhang Li and Zhao Hui, "Martial Uncle Zhang, senior brother Zhao, let's leave this place immediately." Zhang Li and Zhao Hui didn't understand, but when they saw Yun Chujio's determined eyes, they didn't hesitate anymore. They faked a move and jumped to the side. Just as the three of them were about to leave, Han Jie shouted angrily, "Senior brother Yuan, we can't let them go just like that. They might be betraying the sect. You have to catch them." When Yuan Qi and the others heard that, they immediately surrounded Yun Chujio and the others. "You can't leave. If you want to leave, you have to wait until tomorrow morning to return to the sect with us." Yun Chujio was so angry that she was about to explode. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. How could the nameless sword sect have such a bunch of idiots? They even helped to count the money after being sold. They really wanted to kill them. It seemed that they could only let Han Jie tell the truth. Otherwise, this bunch of idiots would still drag them down. Hence, she gave Zhao Hui and Zhang Li a look. The two of them immediately engaged in a battle with Yuan Qi and the others while Yun Chujio leaped to Han Jie's side. Yun Chujio looked at Han Jie with a deep gaze. "Aren't you going to say it? Then I'll cut off your right leg. Even if we don't live, you'll be crippled for the rest of your life." As Yun Chujio said that, she raised the big kitchen knife in her hand. Han Jie's face instantly turned pale. If you really do that, you'll be punished by the sect rules. You'll be expelled from the sect. Our Han family will not forgive you." Yun Chujio sneered. She raised her hand and the knife fell. Han Jie let out a miserable cry. He watched as the large kitchen knife cut into his right leg. As long as Yun Chujio used more strength, his right leg would not be able to survive. He was terrified. I'll say it. It was Martial Uncle One who asked me to do it. He asked me to wait until all the other sects have left and let out the smoke. But I really don't know what exactly he wants to do." Han Jie cried. The moment Han Jie said that, Yuan Qi and the others were instantly dumbfounded. Yun Chujio was actually telling the truth? Han Jie really released the smoke secretly? Yuan Qi was simply unable to contain his anger. "Han Jie, are you telling the truth? You actually betrayed us." Han Jie did not know whether it was pain or fear. His face was pale as he said, "I didn't betray you. I just released the smoke. I really don't know anything else." Yun Chujio looked at the angry Yuan Qi and the others and said, "He refused to tell the truth, so I had to search his soul. I hope you can testify for me when you return to the sect." Chapter 3885 was about to turn them into earth fire materials. Yun Chujio was about to perform a soul search. Han Jie was scared out of his wits. If his soul was searched, he would turn into a fool. Of course, he did not know that Yun Chujio was just scaring him. After all, soul searching was a big taboo to fellow disciples. She would not do it as a last resort. Ill talk. Uncle Master once said that as long as I release the smoke, someone will come and kill you. After that, when I go back, I'll lie and say that you were attacked by a king-level fire spirit beast. Although Han Jie's face was full of fear, he thought to himself that the reinforcements might arrive soon. At that time he would definitely make this bitch's life worse than death. Yuan Qi and the others simply couldn't believe their ears. Yuan Qi said angrily, "Han Jie, we've always been on good terms. Why did you do this?" Han Jie said with a guilty conscience, Because Uncle Master Wan promised me that after the matter is done, he would think of a way to let me enter the inner sect. I also had no choice." Yuan Qi and the others were furious. What did he mean by no other choice? This was him forgetting his loyalty for the sake of profit. To think that they still treated him as a friend. Yuan Qi and the others were both ashamed, so they naturally would not object. They immediately did not bother to undo the formation on the ground and hurriedly wanted to leave this place. However, they were soon surprised to see 3 balls of fire rapidly approaching from afar. What were those? Zhang Li's face showed great fear. King-level fire spirit beast. Those are king-level fire spirit beasts. We can't survive. As the 3 huge balls of fire got closer and closer, they finally saw clearly that they were 3 fiery red demonic beasts. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. Hanjia was so scared that he was trembling. He couldn't help but exclaim, "No, no. Martial Uncle Wan clearly said that he would send someone over. Why are the king-level fire spirit beasts here?" Yun Chujio snorted coldly, "Idiot. Even if he sent someone over, do you think you still have a chance to live? The moment you agreed, you were destined to die." Zhao Hui said with a trembling voice, "Don't bother about him. Let's run quickly or we will really die." Only then did everyone come back to their senses and ran forward with all their might. However, they didn't run far before they had no choice but to stop. Because the path was blocked by the other 3 king-level fire essence beasts, they had no way to escape. Yuan Qi and the others were so scared that their legs could not help but go soft. They felt extremely regretful in their hearts. If they had listened to Yun Chujia's words and did not waste any time, they might have already escaped. However, there was no medicine for regret in this world. At this moment they heard Hanjia laughing loudly. "Haha, I Hanjia have finally become an inner disciple. Haha, I Hanjia have finally become the #1 in the world." Everyone looked at each other. This Hanjia had actually gone mad? Yun Chujia's heart was like a beeping dog. She had originally wanted to bring this Hanjia back as a witness, but now he had actually gone mad. Even with Yuan Qi and the others as witnesses, it was likely that they would not be able to prove Wan Qingbao's crime. However, the most urgent matter now was the 6 king-level fire spirit beasts in front of them. If they did not think of a countermeasure as soon as possible, they would become earth fire materials. The 6 king fire spirit beasts gradually approached, and they looked very agitated. Yuan Qi and the others felt despair in their hearts. It was over. They really couldn't survive. Zhang Li bitterly thought that perhaps this was fate. Back then he hadn't been bitten to death by the fire spirit beast, but now his retribution had finally arrived. However, he looked at Yun Chujio beside him and couldn't help but feel very guilty. This little girl was the only one who had shown kindness to him other than his master. He didn't think that he would have to die here today. Zhang Li felt that there was no possibility of escaping. Back then even the 7 core disciples couldn't withstand 3 king-level fire spirit beasts. Now that they were facing 6 king-level fire spirit beasts, there was no room for them to resist. Just as Zhang Li was thinking, he heard Yun Chujio beside him clearly shout, "Splash water, splash cold water on their bodies." Zhang Li and the others were simply dumbfounded. Splash water? What kind of joke was this? This is a king-level fire spirit beast, not a flame. What's the use of splashing water on them? While they were stunned, Yun Chujio had already splashed cold water on the 6 king-level fire spirit beasts. The 6 king-level fire spirit beasts were all stunned. What kind of trick was this? What kind of trick was this little human girl playing? As they were too surprised, they didn't know how to react and just stood there in a daze. Zhang Li and the rest took a look. Heavens, it was really useful. Hence, they poured all the water from their storage rings onto the 6 king fire spirit beasts. After the initial shock, the 6 king fire spirit beasts finally regained their senses. They were so angry that they started twitching. These humans were too stupid. Did they think that they would be extinguished by the water just because they were called fire spirit beasts? Just as the 6 fire spirit beasts were about to attack, Yun Chujio shouted, "Stop. All of you stop. I have something important to say." The 6 fire spirit beasts thought, "Stop just because you said so? Who the hell are you? Shameless." However, they finally stopped because Yun Chujio released a hua. Everyone only heard Yun Chujio say something about a 10,000-year-old single dog. Then they saw the little piglet turn into a big black pig? Not to mention the 6 king-level fire spirit beasts. Even Zhang Li and the others were dumbstruck. This was a spirit beast? And it could also turn into a big spirit beast? Yun Chujio put her hands behind her back and said to the 6 king-level fire spirit beasts with a calm expression, "See? We are not to be trifled with. Do you know why I splashed water on you? There is a big mystery behind this." The 6 king fire spirit beasts looked at each other before looking at De Hua warily. Although the spiritual chi of these people was low, this spirit beast did not seem to be normal. Could it be that the remaining people also had spirit beasts? Yun Chujio took advantage of the moment when the 6 king fire spirit beasts were hesitating, and continued, "We splashed water to save you. Don't you feel that after being splashed, your frustration has lessened? Didn't you realize that you are poisoned? You have only met a kind person like me. If you had met someone else, you would have taken advantage of the situation and killed all of you." The 6 king-level fire spirit beasts began to check their bodies in fear. Although they did not notice anything unusual, they were indeed very frustrated just now. Could it be that they were really poisoned? Yun Chujio curled her lips. Think about it. Do you usually go to the territory of ordinary fire spiritual beasts? Aren't you afraid that someone will take advantage of this and steal your earth fire? Moreover, we usually stay out of each other's way. We don't have any good stones to eat. Why are you attacking us? Is it because I'm good looking? After hearing Yun Chujio's words, although the 6 king-level fire spirit beasts felt that this little girl was too shameless, they also felt that what she said made sense. That's right, they almost never left their own territory. Why did they come here in a daze? Yun Chujio saw that the 6 king-level fire spirit beasts' emotions were somewhat eased, and she continued, "6 sirs, there must be a conspiracy here. There must be someone who wants to harm you. You must know that this is not your territory, but the territory of the ordinary fire spirit beasts. If you eat us here, the major sects will think that you won't even let us take the earth fire of the ordinary fire spirit beasts. This is a serious problem. People are afraid of forcing horses to ride them. At that time, the 6 major sects will probably have no choice but to declare war on you. It's true that you are very powerful, but it's hard for 2 fists to fight against 4 hands. In the end, I'm afraid that you won't be able to escape the fate of being bound by a contract. I believe that with the wisdom of all the lords, you will be able to determine that what I said is true. What is more important than freedom? Therefore, all the lords should return as soon as possible. Otherwise, there might already be someone stealing your earth fire." The king fire spiritual beasts were already suspicious of the situation. Now that they heard Yun Chujio's analysis, they felt that someone was trying to harm them. That's right. If they were to hurt someone here, those human cultivators might break the balance and contract with them. At that time, it would be too late for them to regret. The 6 fire spiritual beasts looked at each other. They had no interest in eating humans. Previously, they were only attracted by a scent that made them very annoyed. Now, there was naturally no need for them to stay. Therefore, they let out a few low growls before turning around and leaving. Yuan Qi and the others sat on the ground. Oh God, they thought that they would not survive. They did not expect that Yun Chujio would actually let these king-level fire spirit beasts off after a round of kissing. This was simply unbelievable. At this moment, they heard Yun Chujio stretching her neck and shouting, "My lords, wait a moment, I still have something to say." Yuan Qi and the others were so scared that they almost jumped up and covered Yun Chujio's mouth. "Are you fucking crazy? It wasn't easy for those malefactors to leave. What more do you have to say? If you don't say it, will you die?" The 6 king-level fire spirit beasts were also somewhat puzzled, but they still stopped and turned around, looking at Yun Chujio with an impatient expression. They were still in a hurry to go back. What else did this little girl have to do? Yun Chujio ran forward a distance, and was only 30 feet away from the 6 king-level fire spirit beasts. Yuan Qi and the others all felt that Yun Chujio was most likely crazy. She actually took the initiative to go forward and die. What was wrong with her brain? Pan DN0V1 from Sirs, I am here to deliver medicinal pills to all of you. Since that evil person intended to harm all of you, perhaps he would act again. Therefore, these soul-cleansing pills are given to all of you. If you feel that something is wrong, you can consume them to detoxify the poison. As she spoke, Yun Chujio took out a basin of medicinal pills from her storage ring and placed it on the ground. Not to mention Yuan Qi and the others, even the 6 king fire spirit beasts were dumbfounded. Since when did humans use basins to store medicinal pills? However, one of the king fire spirit beasts still kept the basin of medicinal pills into its storage space. The instincts of demonic beasts were much more sensitive than humans. They vaguely felt that this little girl in front of them would not harm them. The 6 king-level fire spirit beasts nodded slightly at Yun Chujio before turning around to leave. Yuan Qi and the others finally heaved a sigh of relief in their hearts. Although they felt that Yun Chujio's actions were a little unnecessary, it was fortunate that the king-level fire spirit beasts were about to leave. Unexpectedly, Yun Chujio continued, "Sirs, please wait a little longer. I still have a presumptuous request. Yuan Qi and the others were going crazy. You have another unkind request? You are courting death. The 6 king fire spirit beasts were also stunned. Although they were a little impatient, they still stopped in their tracks. Some people say that your king fire spirit beast's earth fire is 100 times stronger than the earth fire of an ordinary fire spirit beast. However, some people also say that this is just a rumor. Actually, your king fire spirit beast is just a little bigger in size. In fact, it is no different from an ordinary fire spirit beast. Perhaps the earth fire you produce is even worse than an ordinary fire spirit beast. The 6 king fire spirit beasts immediately howled in anger. What? They were inferior to those little brats. It was simply a great humiliation. Yuan Qi and the others were so frightened by the angry roars of the king fire spirit beasts that they were about to cry. It's over, it's over. This time it was completely over. This Yun Chuzhou really had a good death. If they had known earlier, even if they had offended her, they would have covered her mouth with a rag to prevent her from courting death. Right at this moment they heard Yun Chuzhou angrily say, "When I heard the latter version, I directly beat up the person who spoke. Pandian 0ve1cm therefore, your earth fire is definitely 1,000 times stronger than the earth fire of an ordinary fire spirit beast. No, 10,000 times. When the 6 king fire spirit beasts heard Yun Chuzhou's words, they immediately felt a sense of comfort in their hearts. Yes, this little girl was right. Their earth fire was 10,000 times stronger than the earth fire of those little brats. That, my lords, although I believe in you, some people are short-sighted and can only be shut up unless they have evidence. Can I follow you to collect some earth fire? Just a little bit. I just want to shut them up." Yun Chuzhou said honestly. The 6 king fire spirit beasts looked at each other. In order to protect their reputation, it was not a big deal to let this little girl take a little bit of earth fire. After all, they had a lot of earth fire, so they were not short of a little bit. Thus, the leader of the king-level fire spirit beasts nodded and let out a low roar. Then, Yuan Qi and the others saw Yun Chuzhou follow behind the 6 king-level fire spirit beasts and jump away. A certain Jiu's dirty voice could still be heard from afar. "Sirs, I have meat buns and spirit fruits here. Try them. Although they aren't as delicious as ores, it's not bad to change the taste occasionally. Sirs, your fur is really too good looking. Can I touch it?" There was only one thought in everyone's mind. Crazy. Crazy. This Yun Chuzhou had completely gone crazy. She actually had the audacity to want to go and collect the earth fire of a king-level fire spirit beast? Wasn't she sending herself to her death? Besides, why did she have to take such a risk? 15 minutes had passed, and an hour had passed. Yun Chuzhou still hadn't returned. Yuan Qi and the others had complicated expressions on their faces. They had the intention to return to the sect overnight, but they also felt that it was a little unfair. After all, it was Yun Chuzhou who had saved them. However, if Yun Chuzhou angered the 6 king-level fire spirit beasts and they came back, wouldn't they be dead? Soon 2 hours had passed, but Yun Chuzhou still hadn't returned. Zhongli couldn't sit still anymore. He said in a low voice, "He'll go over and take a look. If I'm not back in 2 hours, you guys can go back to the sect." Yuan Qi and the others had a better impression of Yun Chuzhou, but they were still indifferent to Zhongli. Hearing his words, they were a little surprised and looked at him in surprise. Only Zhao Hui answered, "Marshal Uncle Zhang, be careful. We will wait for your news." "Okay," Zhongli promised and then quickly rushed to the King Fire Spiritual Beasts area. Zhongli had already prepared for the worst. He thought that what he saw might be Yun Chuzhou's corpse, or even that there might not even be a corpse. There would only be clothes left at the scene. However, when he saw the scene in front of him, he felt that his eyes were most likely playing tricks on him. He saw Yun Chuzhou roasting meat at the edge of the King Fire Spirit Beast territory. As she roasted the meat, she boomed, "Sirs, when you roast the meat in the future, remember to turn it over frequently. Also, when you roast it, sprinkle some seasonings on it so that the taste of the roasted meat will be delicious." What was going on? Zhongli felt as if his worldview had been refreshed. Wasn't this little girl here to gather earth fire? Why was she eating roasted meat with the King Fire Spirit Beast? Wasn't she afraid that the King Fire Spirit Beast would roast her like roasted meat? Zhongli finally calmed down after much difficulty. Only then did he see 3 earth fire gathering arrays placed not far away. From the looks of it, the little girl was planning to gather more earth fire. Was she stalling for time? Zhongli saw that the 6 King Fire Spirit Beasts didn't seem to be in a violent state, and his heart calmed down a little. At this time Yun Chuzhou also saw Zhongli. She waved her claws at Zhongli, Martial Uncle Zhang, come over and eat some roasted meat. The moment Yun Chujia's words left her mouth, Zhang Li saw the 6 king-level fire spirit beasts staring at him as if they had killed their father. It was as if they wanted to eat him if he dared to agree. Zhang Li immediately shook his head like a rattledrum. His voice trembled slightly as he said, No, you guys eat. I will go back now. When the 6 king-level fire spirit beasts heard what he said, they let out a low growl. That meant, at least you know what's good for you. If you dare to snatch my roasted meat, I will eat you. Zhang Li's legs could not help but feel a little weak. He simply admired Yun Chujia's courage. She actually talked and laughed cheerfully in front of those behemoths. Her courage was not just ordinary. Yun Chujio, on the other hand, was still smiling like a flower. Alright then, Martial Uncle Zhang, you can go back first. I will stay with the adults for a while more. Zhang Li was heartbroken. This little girl didn't care about her life at all. It was fine to get some, but it looked like she was going to get a lot. Zhang Li knew that it was useless to persuade her. If things went wrong, he might even anger those king-level fire spirit beasts, so he could only turn around and leave. Yun Chujio was still chatting with those king-level fire spirit beasts, but the little snake in her sleeve was already furious. This little rascal was getting more and more ridiculous. Previously, she had no way to fool these king-level fire spirit beasts, but since they were about to leave, she had to give them some pills. It was fine if she gave them pills, after all, it was to prevent these king-level fire spirit beasts from being used by others, but why did she have to come over and take the earth fire? Wasn't she being a demon? Perhaps it was because it was too angry. The small silver snake's body began to expand. Yun Chujio noticed that there was something unusual in her sleeve pouch and suspiciously took out the small silver snake from it. The 6 king-level fire spirit beasts thought that Yun Chujio was going to roast the snake for them to eat, and their faces were filled with disdain. This snake was too small. It was not enough to fill the gaps between their teeth. Yun Chujio saw that the small silver snake's body was bulging, and she was both curious and amused. Little perverted dragon, are you planning to turn into a frog? A certain being almost vomited blood from anger. It was already miserable enough for him to turn into a snake, but he still wanted to turn into a croaking what? At this moment, a certain being felt that the seal in his body seemed to have loosened a large piece. Just as he was getting excited, a dazzling light flashed in front of his eyes. A few breaths later, a certain being saw Yun Chujio in front of him with her mouth wide open. She stared at him with her mouth agape. The 6 king-level fire spirit beasts also had blank expressions on their faces. A certain someone frowned. Wait, frowned? A certain someone subconsciously lowered his head, and his mind went blank. Who am I? Where am I? What am I doing? Fuck, I'm running. For a moment, other than the sound of the meat being roasted, the scene was as quiet as a chicken. Suddenly Yun Chujio, whose face was flushed red, swung her large kitchen knife. She cried out, "Little pervert. You're shameless. You actually turned into a gigolo and you're even naked. I must chop you to death today." At this moment, a certain someone was like a messy leaf in the wind. Should he explain that he was not a little pervert, or should he take advantage of the situation to blame the little pervert? However, before that he had to put on his clothes. A certain someone took out his clothes from his storage ring and put them on while avoiding Yun Chujio's pursuit. He wished that he could find a hole and hide in it. Hei Xinjiu was stunned when she saw the storage ring that suddenly appeared on Di Baiming's hand. This shameless Guan sprinting man couldn't really be a gigolo, right? Prince Charming, is it really you? How did you turn into a snake? The legend of the white snake and Liao Zhai flashed through Yun Chujio's mind. Oh my, could it be that she and the gigolos were still in love with humans and beasts? Human-beast affinity? Di Baiming saw that things were already like this, so there was no way to hide it anymore. Besides, what could be more shameful than what had just happened? A certain someone who was scolding the heavens and the earth squeezed out 2 words from between his teeth. It's me. For a moment, the surroundings fell into a dead silence again. A certain someone was a little worried. The little rascal wouldn't despise him because he had turned into a snake, right? Also, if he had lied to her, would she be so angry that she wouldn't forgive him? However, a moment later, a certain Jiu said in a low voice, "Prince Charming, you didn't wear any clothes when you turned into a human just now. Doesn't that mean that you've been running around naked in front of me all these days?" A certain Jiu, damn it. I'm so embarrassed. I don't want to live anymore. A certain Jiao felt that she could no longer pretend to be serious in front of the little rascal. No, she could no longer pretend to be aloof. This matter was a stain that he would never be able to wash away in this lifetime. If he had known earlier, he would have confessed to her earlier. This way there wouldn't be such an awkward situation. At the very least, he wouldn't have let the 6 king fire spirit beasts see his embarrassing state. Thinking up to this point, a certain someone finally had a channel to vent his anger. He looked coldly at the 6 king fire spirit beasts. At this moment, the 6 king fire spirit beasts had a face full of shock and bewilderment. Oh my, they had become a living person. That man, was he a demonic beast in disguise? However, when they noticed that a certain king fire spirit beast was looking at them with killing intent in his eyes, they instantly felt as if they had fallen into an ice cellar. One of the king fire spirit beasts was more clever. It immediately ran into the earth fire. What a joke! If it didn't run, was it going to wait to be smacked to death? The other 5 king-level fire spirit beasts saw this and quickly jumped into the earth fire as well. Although D. Biming was annoyed, he didn't lose his mind to enter the earth fire to chase after the 6 peeping beasts. He stood there with a cold face and didn't say a word. Hei Xinjiu originally didn't laugh out loud because she was worried about the self-esteem of a certain honored warrior, but she really couldn't hold it in anymore. She laughed so hard that her flowers shook and she almost rolled on the ground. A certain someone's face turned green and then white. He was so angry that he gritted his teeth. However, he could not bear to do anything to Yun Chuzhou, so he could only be angry with himself. A black gas seemed to be coming out from the top of a certain god's head. He hated Shui Wuji in his heart. If it wasn't for that Wu Ji's bad idea, would he have lost face in front of little Jiao? And that in Feng he was simply brainless. Shui Wuji wanted him to do this, but he did it? Yun Chuzhou laughed so hard that she didn't have the strength to stand up. She sat on the ground and finally remembered the important matter. Prince Charming, how did you turn into a snake? Could it be that you're a snake demon? Snake demon? A certain someone? What if he really wants to strangle this fellow in front of him to death? Yun Chuzhou saw that D. Biming did not say anything and thought that he had tacitly agreed. Hence, this fellow cupped his chin and said, "Looks like you are really a snake demon. Although this taste is a little too strong, my ability to accept it is not bad, so I will not despise you. However, you are a snake and I am a human. In the future, should I give birth to a baby or an egg?" A certain being, give birth to babies? He only wanted to be angry now. Prince Charming, will I give birth to a monster with the head of a snake or the body of a snake in the future? Otherwise, let's not give birth to babies and give birth to eggs. A certain being could not stand it anymore. He felt that if he did not do something, this little scoundrel who could not keep his mouth shut would definitely drive him mad. Therefore, a certain being directly pressed Hei Xinjiu, who was still chattering, to the ground and covered her mouth. Finally, everything became quiet. Suddenly, a certain being felt a flash of light in front of his eyes. Then he found that he had turned into a small silver snake once again. Fuck. What's going on? A certain being was so angry that he directly swore. Why did he turn into a snake after kissing her? Hei Xinjiu was dumbfounded. No matter who was kissed by a snake, they would feel very confused, alright? Everything fell into a dead silence again, as if everything around them was frozen. A moment later, Yun Chuzhou looked at the small silver snake that was still lying on her body and said faintly, "Prince Charming, you ran away again." A certain someone subconsciously shrunk his body into his clothes that had become extremely huge. He felt that he could not live this life anymore. Yun Chuzhou and the small silver snake looked at each other. The small silver snake saw the deep curiosity in Hei Xinjiu's eyes, while Hei Xinjiu saw the deep sorrow in the small silver snake's eyes. A certain someone, this day was like a nightmare. Could he erase this memory? Prince Charming, don't worry. I used to think that you were a little pervert, so I treated you badly. Now that I know that you are you, I will definitely treat you well. Sai, if I had known earlier, I wouldn't have let you eat mantus. I even said that I would castrate you. I almost ruined the happiness of the rest of my life. It was so close, a certain being only wanted to die now. His reputation was completely ruined. A certain being had also broken down. Yun Chuzhou could do whatever she wanted, but he did not say a word. He was anxious to find the reason why he had turned into a snake again. After looking inside, he finally found the reason. It turned out that the seal in his body had not been completely broken. He had only broken a part of it just now, so when the time was up, he had turned into a small silver snake again. It should have nothing to do with her kissing him. Seeing that the small silver snake had not made a sound, Yun Chujio picked up the small silver snake with a wicked smile. She said slyly, "Male god, haven't you always been stingy and didn't let me see your pot body? Now, you are taking the initiative to run around in front of me. I didn't expect you to be such a male god." A certain god really wanted to become deaf now because that way he would not have to suffer from Hei Xinjia's demonic voice piercing through his brain. However, he did not notice a trace of worry in Yun Chujia's eyes. She was only joking because she did not want Di Biming to be so sad. Although she did not know how Di Biming ended up like this, something must have gone wrong. She could still distract some gigolo's attention, or else it would not be good if he got into trouble. She remembered that when Enfeng handed the silver snake to her, the snake was very dispirited. It only closed its eyes all day long. At that time, the gigolo must have been very sad, right? She was too careless. If she had paid more attention, she might have noticed something abnormal. However, she never dreamed that the gigolo would turn into a snake. She recalled Buttface's abnormal behavior later on and was instantly furious. Alright, this Buttface must have long known that the silver snake was a pretty boy. He had actually teamed up with the pretty boy to lie to her. When she returned to the Nameless Sword sect, she would definitely teach him a lesson. Yun Chujio continued blabbering and finally got to the point. "Prince Charming, tell me what exactly is going on?" Di Biming had no need to hide it anymore, so he told her what happened. Because Yun Chujio was too flirtatious, the seal of 7 emotions and 6 desires was broken again and again, so the effect was greatly reduced. After Di Biming and Yun Chujio separated, the cold poison took effect again. He gritted his teeth and changed to a stronger sealing method in his memory when he sealed the 7 emotions and 6 desires. However, he did not know if he remembered wrongly or if something went wrong. In short, he turned into a small silver snake. In fact, to be exact, it should be a small silver dragon. However, because it was too small, it looked like a small snake. Yun Chujio blinked her eyes. "Prince Charming, isn't your spiritual beast a silver ice dragon? I guess it has something to do with you turning into a small silver dragon." Di Biming was stunned when he heard Yun Chujio's words. He really didn't think of this. Maybe little Jio was right. Could it be related to the spiritual beast? Yun Chujio suddenly thought of something. Fuck. The pretty boy's spiritual beast was a silver ice dragon. When something happened, it turned into a silver snake. Her spiritual beast was Dehua. If something happened to her, wouldn't she turn into a piglet? Thinking of this, Hei Xinjiao suddenly felt bad. She comforted herself. She would not seal herself for no reason, so naturally, there would not be such an eyesore scene. It would definitely not appear. Yun Chujio shook her head and tried hard to clear the eyesore scene from her mind. She asked curiously, "Prince Charming, how did you turn into a human just now? Let's try again according to the method just now. Maybe we can completely remove the seal in your body." When Di Biming heard this, he immediately remembered what had happened before. The entire snake emitted a chilling aura. "Little Jio, you're simply too ridiculous. You're not a match for those 6 king-level fire spirit beasts at all. Why did you take the risk to come and take the earth fire? You're courting death." Yun Chujio said with an aggrieved expression, "I naturally did this for a reason. You also know that Lan Luochen is pressing me step by step. I need to quickly establish a foothold in the Nameless Sword sect. Therefore, I plan to bring the earth fire of these king-level fire spirit beasts back and think of a way to get a chance to participate in the inner sect selection. After becoming an inner sect disciple, he'll have more opportunities to interact with the higher-ups of the sect. Only then will I be able to plot against the 9 pavilions step by step." Di Biming originally thought that Yun Chujio was greedy and playful. Now that he heard Yun Chujio's true purpose, he immediately felt both pity and guilt. He was really too incompetent. His enemy was too powerful. He had no way to stay by her side, nor could he take the risk to bring her along. Therefore little Jio had suffered too much. He had let her down. Yun Chujio knew Di Biming very well. She knew what he was thinking when she saw his eyes. She smiled mischievously and said, "Aya, Prince Charming, don't worry. I love challenging things the most. Fighting with the heavens, fighting with the earth, and fighting with people is fun. I enjoy it. Don't worry, I will play with those old things sooner or later." How could Di Biming not know that Yun Chujio was consoling him? A warm feeling flowed through his heart. There was a tinge of bitterness in the sweetness, and even the seal was loosened a lot. For a moment, the man and the snake looked at each other. They could see the deep love and determination in each other's eyes. No matter how difficult the road ahead was, as long as they had each other in their hearts, one day, they would be able to be together for a long time. This kind of deep affection and beautiful atmosphere was broken by the clicking sounds of a few king fire spirit beasts. It turned out that the 6 foodies weren't willing to let the roasted meat go to waste, so they secretly poked their heads out of the earth fire. Seeing that the terrifying man had turned into a small silver snake again, they felt at ease and boldly began to feast. A killing intent flashed through a certain honored warrior's vertical pupils. These fools looked at this honored warrior's pot body and actually still dared to appear. They were really courting death. Yun Chujio lowered her head and gently kissed the small silver snake. Prince Charming, face is really useless. You are not allowed to lie to me in the future. The certain being nodded and thought sadly in its heart, how could he still have any face now? Even the inside sun has no good. The 6 king-level fire spirit beasts were completely stimulated by Hei Xinjia's roasted meat. What the fuck? They had been bitterly gnawing on rocks for so many years. It was a waste of their lives. Therefore Hei Xinjia relied on the meat buns, roasted ribs, and roasted chicken in her storage ring to make the 6 king-level fire spirit beasts promise Yun Chujio that they could use their food to exchange for their earth fire in the future. The next morning, Hei Xinjio went to Zhang Li and the others with the earth fire that she had gathered in satisfaction. Yun Chujio nodded. Yes, but I was afraid that you would be anxious, so I only gathered a little bit. I will come back to get more in the future when I have time. Zhao Hui and the others were dumbfounded. Come back again in the future? That was a king-level fire spiritual beast. Wasn't she afraid that those king-level fire spiritual beasts would devour her? However, they were in a hurry to return to the sect, so they didn't ask any more questions. They took the crazy Han Jie and left the raging flame mountain range. On the way back, Yuan Qi and the others couldn't help but curse Han Jie and Wan Qingba, who had ordered him to do so. They all clamored to return to the sect to seek justice. However, Yun Chujio said faintly, I'm afraid you'll be disappointed. This matter will definitely not be settled in the end because Han Jie has gone crazy. Even if we search his soul, it can't be used as evidence. We can't punish Wan Qingba with just our one-sided words. Moreover, he still has a good father. Elder Wan's influence in the sect is deeply intertwined. How can a few shrimps like us resist? Yuan Qi and the others were instantly dumbfounded. Yuan Qi said angrily, then well, just let it go like this? What else can we do if we don't let it go like this? Forget about all of you. Back then, Uncle Master Zhang was framed by Wan Qingba and had a fate worse than death. Didn't he have to suffer as well? And those relatives of yours who died, wouldn't they also die in vain? Yun Chujio said with a cold smile. Yuan Qi was stunned and immediately retorted, my uncle died because Zhang Li insisted on doing his own thing. What does this have to do with Wan Qingba? The others also echoed, looking at Zhang Li with unkind eyes. Yun Chujio curled her lips. Are you really stupid or are you pretending to be stupid? Were your relatives harmed by the king fire spirit beast that went crazy? Back then, Uncle Master Zhang and the others were only at the edge of the king-level fire spirit beast territory. Logically speaking, they wouldn't have disturbed the king-level fire spirit beast, so why were they attacked by the king-level fire spirit beast? Yuan Qi and the others were shocked and in disbelief. One of them mumbled, but I heard that Wan Qingba was injured badly when he tried to save Uncle Master Zhang. Since he wanted to harm Uncle Master Zhang, why did he save him? Yin Chujio sighed, you guys are really brainless. If Martial Uncle Zhang was dead, how could he let Martial Uncle Zhang take the blame? How did he display his heroic deed of sacrificing himself for others? Yuan Qi and the others were instantly dumbfounded. Could it be that the truth was like this? They and their family had always hated the wrong person? Yun Chujio looked at the complicated expressions of Yuan Qi and the others, but she had her own plans in her heart. Elder Wan's power was intertwined, and she did not have the strength to fight him. However, although the family behind Yuan Qi and the others was not as powerful as Elder Wan's, they were still a source of help. They might be useful in the future. After a long time, Zhao Hui asked thoughtfully, Junior Sister Yun, what should we say when we return to the sect? Yun Chujio curled the corners of her lips. Of course it's the truth. Even if we can't do anything to Wan Qingba, We have to make everyone suspicious of him so that he won't attack us again without any scruples. You have to be mentally prepared. Since you didn't get killed by him this time, you have obviously become a thorn in his side. You have to be more careful in the future. Zhao Hui saw the fear and anger on Yuan Qi and the others' faces and laughed in his heart. This junior sister Yun was really despicable. Wan Qingba probably wanted to harm Zhang Li and her the most. However, after hearing what she said, Yuan Qi and the others naturally wanted to bring down Wan Qingba and the elder Wan behind him even more. In the evening, Yun Chujio and the others returned to the Nameless Sword sect. They did not go to the Bounty Hall to hand in their mission. Instead, they went straight to the Discipline Hall to complain about their grievances. Manager Song of the Discipline Hall saw Yun Chujio and subconsciously felt his head ache. Could this person have caused some trouble again? When Manager Song heard Yuan Qi and the other swords, his head immediately buzzed. This matter was no small matter. It was not something he could decide. Thus, Manager Song immediately reported the matter to Elder Fong, who was in charge of the Discipline Hall. Elder Fong immediately ordered people to bring Wan Qingba to the Discipline Hall, and the two sides confronted each other. The final result was similar to what Yun Chujio had expected. Wan Qingbo refused to admit that he had instructed Han Jie. Moreover, Han Jie was already crazy, and Yuan Qi and the others did not have any conclusive evidence, so they could only let it go. After all this, the sky had already turned completely dark. Yun Chujio decided to go and present the treasure the next day, so she hopped back to her own courtyard. After this fellow had simply washed up, the first thing he did was to interrogate Buttface. Although spirit pets could see what was happening outside by establishing a spiritual connection with their owners, Yun Chujio did not open the spiritual connection when a certain fruit ran, so Buttface did not know that something had happened. Yun Chujio sneered, "Buttface, your dog guts are getting bigger and bigger. How dare you lie to me? Do you want to become a dead dog?" Buttface looked aggrieved, "Little fairy, how could I lie to you? My loyalty to you is as clear as day and moon. You really hurt me when you say that." Yun Chujio thought to herself, as expected of an ancient fierce beast. Its ability to lie through its teeth was almost as good as hers. There seemed to be something wrong with these words. It seemed that she had scolded herself. Yun Chujio kicked Buttface and pointed at the small silver snake on the stone table that was resting with its eyes closed. She said, "Prince Charming has told me everything, and you still dare to be stubborn?" When Buttface heard this, he immediately felt as if the sky had collapsed. "What? Your Excellency had actually confessed. Wasn't this cheating him? Your Majesty, you will lose the baby like this." When Buttface thought of He Xinjia's methods, he immediately shivered and looked at the small silver snake for help. Unfortunately, a certain one seemed to be asleep and didn't even open its eyes. Buttface immediately felt that the whole dog was in a bad mood. His Majesty, this heartless person, actually abandoned him after crossing the river. Buttface thought that since the incident had already been exposed, he should honestly tell the truth. Perhaps the little fairy would not punish him too much because of his good confession attitude. Therefore, Buttface cried bitterly and said, "Little fairy, I was wrong. I shouldn't have lied to you. I shouldn't have seen the little pervert. No, your Majesty secretly climbed onto your bed and turned a blind eye to it. I shouldn't have lied for your Majesty that he kissed you. And I shouldn't have lied for your Majesty that he watched you take a bath." Before Buttface could finish his words, he felt the silver snake's cold gaze. He asked foolishly, "Your Excellency, why are you staring at me? Did you not tell the fairy about this?" The silver snake wanted to turn it into a dead dog immediately. This damned Buttface. It's over. The last bit of face of this venerable self was gone. Pandian 0v1 so instantly, the entire snake was in a bad mood. However, in order to atone for his sins, Buttface. It said from the side, "That's right, your Majesty. Aren't you going to undo the seal? Then just look at it openly. However, don't get any more nosebleeds. With that small body of yours, if you get any more nosebleeds, I'm afraid you won't be able to hold on." Scram! A certain snake nearly fainted from anger. Dog 2 then realized that it seemed to have flattered a horse's hooves. He quickly covered his mouth with his paw and hid in the corner without making a sound. Yun Chujio saw the angry look of a certain venerable, pouted, threw it on the stone table and walked into the house. The venerable didn't know whether to go in or not, but it looked at Buttface, who was pretending to be dead in the corner. Buttface was also very sad. He was also a victim. Okay. Now that he was not a dog, who was he going to complain to? However, the more he was tortured, the more he felt that only villains like a certain dog in Heishinjio were worthy for him to follow. It was painful but happy. After a while, Buttface said weakly, "Your Majesty, don't just stand there. The little fairy will definitely be waiting for you." A certain venerable, if it weren't for the fact that he was afraid of wasting his spiritual energy, he really wanted to turn Buttface into a dead dog. However, after hesitating for a moment, a certain venerable decided to enter the room. He didn't want to see any fragrance. He just wanted to release the seal as soon as possible. Well, that was it. Seeing a certain venerable enter the room, Buttface couldn't help but twitch his lips. Pui. Pretentious. On the other side, after a certain someone entered the bedroom and saw that Heishinjio was reading a script, he hesitated for a moment before he shamelessly climbed onto the bed. However, when he saw the words on the cover of the script, he immediately felt that the whole snake was in trouble. On the cover, it was written, "My snake husband and I have to talk about our past in bed." He really wanted to shout, "I'm not a snake. Not a snake. Not a snake." However, a certain someone was feeling guilty now, so he just snorted coldly. "Why aren't you resting early? Why are you looking at this rubbish?" Yun Chujio looked at a certain someone with interest. "Prince Charming, what does it say about two snakes? Let me have a look." The certain someone couldn't care less about wasting his spiritual power. The words book in Yun Chujio's hand instantly turned into dust. The certain someone gnashed his teeth and said, "Sleep?" Heishinjio blinked her eyes, but she was not angry. Instead, she said with a smile, "Sleep is fine too. Sing me a lullaby." A certain someone curled himself into a ball and did not say anything. What a joke. In the past, he would only sing a lullaby if his brain was damaged. Now he would never sing it even if he was beaten to death. Yun Chujio's face suddenly revealed a sinister smile. "Prince Charming, if you don't sing for me, you'll check your body. I'm really curious." A certain person was so angry that he kept twitching. In the end, he still had water in his brain and started singing the lullaby. Yun Chujio didn't sleep the night before, so she fell asleep very quickly. A certain lord had a helpless look on his face. He felt that his husband wouldn't be able to rise up in the future. Why couldn't he do anything to this little scoundrel? After Yun Chujio washed up, she went into the courtyard and saw the silver snake resting with its eyes closed on the stone table. Even when Yun Chujio walked to the stone table, the silver snake did not open its eyes. Yun Chujio knew that a certain lord was making a scene because of the lullaby, so she did not care. "Little fellow, you have already turned into a snake, how can you escape from me?" Dog 2 hesitated for a moment, but it still ran over from the corner of the wall and said obsequiously, "Little fairy, you're not angry with me anymore, right? I will definitely turn over a new leaf in the future. I promise to tell you everything I know, and I will never lie to you again. If I lie to you again, I will be a single dog for the rest of my life." Yun Chujio saw that Dog 2 had even made such a poisonous vow, so she let it go. She also knew that Dog 2 was forced by a certain venerable. However, she didn't know that Dog 2 was actually thinking like this. Anyway, the baby isn't a dog. What does being single have to do with the baby? The baby is really getting smarter and smarter. Sure enough, following a bad person like the little fairy has its benefits. Yun Chujio had just finished her breakfast when her identity jade tablet started to tremble. She used her divine sense to see that it was from Zhao Hui, asking her to hand in a mission at the bounty hall. Although they had met with an accident, they still needed to submit a mission to the bounty hall. However, the bounty hall would handle special matters and would not punish them. Yun Chujio was about to use the King Fire Essence Beast's Earth Fire to exchange for benefits, so she naturally agreed. She immediately put the small silver snake into her sleeve pocket and happily arrived at the entrance of the bounty hall. Zhao Hui and the others were already waiting for her there, and Zhang Li was also there. Yun Chujio nodded at the crowd and followed them into the bounty hall. The incident yesterday had caused such a big commotion, so the people of the bounty hall had naturally heard about it. Therefore they didn't ask much and put away the earth fire that Zhao Hui and the others had collected. After registering, Manager Zheng of the bounty hall looked at Yun Chujio. "I heard that you also collected some King Fire Essence Beast's earth fire? Hand it over to me as well. The sect will naturally reward you." Yun Chujio blinked. "What reward?" Manager Zheng. He didn't expect Yun Chujio to ask so casually. How would he know what the reward would be? This wasn't something he could decide. Yun Chujio curled her lips. Since you can't make the decision, then help me find someone who can. I risked my life to get this earth fire. I can't just give it to you like this. Under everyone's watchful eyes, Manager Zheng felt a little embarrassed. He said with a gloomy face, Yun Chujio, don't go too far. The earth fire you collected is a mission item. You have the obligation to hand it over to the sect. Yun Chujio still had a casual look on her face. She said indifferently, Manager Zheng, you may have made a mistake. The sect's mission is to collect the earth fire of ordinary fire spirit beasts, while I collected the earth fire of king fire spirit beasts. Moreover, when a disciple goes on a mission, other than the mission items, don't all the other items that are obtained belong to the individual? Why has it changed when it comes to me? Manager Zheng was speechless by Yun Chujio's words. It was true. Other than the mission items, the items obtained by the disciples during the mission were all owned by them. He originally wanted to mess with Yun Chujio and send her away with a random reward. He didn't expect this brat to be so difficult to deal with. He said gloomily, Yun Chujio, don't be too arrogant. Although you got some king-level fire essence beasts earth fire, it's not enough for you to do anything. Do you really think that you can get some amazing rewards with those earth fire essence beasts? Stop daydreaming. Even if you want to hand it over now, I don't want it anymore. Get out. Seeing this, Zhao Hui and the others were afraid that Yun Chujio would be at a disadvantage, so they signaled her to change her words. Otherwise, if they offended this steward Zheng, they would probably make things difficult for her in the future. Moreover, if the bounty hall didn't accept the earth fire of the king-level fire spirit beast, wouldn't she be wasting her efforts? Yun Chujio acted as if she didn't see it and said to steward Zheng lightly, are you really not accepting it? Manager Zheng thought that Yun Chujio was afraid and said arrogantly, no. Not only will you not accept the earth fire that you brought this time, our bounty hall will not accept any of your items in the future. When Yun Chujio heard what he said, a bright smile appeared on her face. Very good. Remember what you said. I will make you kneel and beg me to hand over the earth fire to your bounty hall. Manager Zheng felt that Yun Chujio was most likely mentally ill. Why would he kneel and beg her? Although the earth fire of a king-level fire spirit beast was rare, it required a large amount of earth fire to refine pills or weapons. What could she do with just a small amount of earth fire? Even if she caused a ruckus to the sect leader, it would not cause any waves. Yun Chujio did not continue to tangle with him. She turned around and left the bounty hall. She had long disliked Manager Zheng. She heard from Zhao Hui that Manager Zheng had always had a good relationship with Wan Qingba. Therefore, the previous and this mission must have been done by Manager Zheng. Could such a piece of trash still be kept for the new year? Zhao Hui and the others also followed. Zhao Hui took 2 steps forward and caught up with Yun Chujio. Junior sister Yun, why do you have to fight with him? I'm afraid he will make things difficult for you in the future. Moreover, you don't collect much earth fire. Just leave it to him. Yun Chujio's lips curled into a smile. In the future? There's no future. Today I'll make him get the hell out of the bounty hall. Zhao Hui was dumbfounded. Could this junior sister Yun be as crazy as Hanjia? What did she mean by making him get the hell out of the bounty hall today? How could she, an outer sect disciple, make Manager Zheng get the hell out of the bounty hall? Just as Zhao Hui was puzzled, Yun Chujio said to him, I'm going to see the sect leader. Are you going to watch the show? Zhao Hui. Yun Chujio ignored him and said to Zhang Li behind her, Martial Uncle Zhang, come with me. Help me testify and also show your face. Zhang Li hesitated for a moment. He felt that he was too ashamed to see Master Ouyang. He had really caused a lot of trouble for his master. Also, if you don't even have the courage to follow me to the meeting hall, then don't hang out with me anymore. Obviously, sometimes goading was better than any other method. Whether it was Zhang Li, Zhao Hui, or the others, their faces instantly turned red and their necks were thick. They followed behind Yun Chujio with a face that looked like they were ready to die. Yun Chujio glanced at them and finally her eyes fell on Zhang Li. Martial Uncle Zhang, if you don't want to backfire, you'd better clean up your wretched appearance. At least shave your beard, right? Zhang Li didn't expect Yun Chujio to make such a request, but he still walked to a quiet place and tidied up before walking over. Yun Chujio was instantly stunned. Who would have thought that this Zhang Li was actually a beautiful uncle? The degree of his beauty was on par with the previous imperial preceptor of the East Phoenix Kingdom, Yuan Ji. Yun Chujio immediately whistled like a hooligan. Martial Uncle Zhang, I didn't expect you to be so beautiful. Don't worry, even if it's because you're so beautiful, he'll help you take care of that one Qingba. Zhang Li's face was flushed red by He Xinjiu, and he scolded hesitantly, Martial nephew Yun, don't talk nonsense. Would better leave quickly. Yun Chujio said with a smile, no rush, I usually don't have the heart to criticize a beauty. A certain person in the sleeve pocket was so angry that he was fuming. This little hooligan was getting more and more outrageous. He actually dared to flirt with other men in front of him. Wasn't he a beauty? That wasn't what he meant. Did he mean that he wouldn't flirt with him? That wasn't right either. In short, this little scoundrel was too much of a troublemaker. Yun Chujio felt the cold air in the sleeve pocket and couldn't help but curl the corners of her lips. This fellow was obviously doing it on purpose. Otherwise, even a monster like Shui Wuji wouldn't be used to it. Why would he be such a scoundrel just because of Zhang Li's good looks? Along the way, Yun Chujio, Zhao Hui and the others chatted and laughed. Occasionally they would tease Zhang Li a little. A certain Jiao in her sleeve pocket had almost knocked over a jar of jealousy. She wished that she could shut the giggling a certain Jiao's mouth. At this moment, a fair and tender little hand reached into her sleeve pocket and poked the silver snake's head. Then she touched the silver snake a few times. Instantly the whole snake felt comfortable. The small silver snake squinted its eyes comfortably. The little rascal was still thinking about the main body. How could those idiots be compared to the main body? Yun Chujio and the others chatted and laughed. Soon they arrived at the meeting hall. PN0V1 Kam Zhao Hui and the others, who had already relaxed, suddenly became nervous again. They finally realized that this was the high and mighty meeting hall. Why did they follow Yun Chujio here in a daze? Just as Zhao Hui and the others were feeling regretful, they heard Yun Chujio say to the disciple at the door, Senior brother, please go in and report that I have a peerless treasure to offer to the sect. Zhao Hui and the others stumbled and almost fell to the ground. Peerless treasure? Wasn't it just some king-level fire essence beast's earth fire? Moreover, she had only collected it for a few hours and there wasn't much in total. Wasn't she lying through her teeth? Was it too late for them to run away now? Before Zhao Hui and the others could decide whether they should go back on their words, the disciple received a reply and let them in. Zhao Hui and the others could only brace themselves and follow Yun Chujio into the meeting hall. Outer sect disciples like them had almost no chance to come to the meeting hall. Therefore, although they were very nervous, they couldn't suppress their curiosity and secretly looked around. Only Zhang Li's expression was very complicated. Back then he did not even need to be informed when he entered the meeting hall. But now, things were different from before and he had fallen to such a state. Chapter 3900 When everyone entered the meeting hall, they saw that not only was Master Ouyang present, but the higher-ups of the other sects were also present. Zhao Hui and the others became even more nervous. Why were these elders also present? They hoped that junior sister Yun would be able to make up for what she had just said. Otherwise they would really suffer. When Master Ouyang saw Zhang Li, he was truly in a trance for a moment. The last time he saw Zhang Li, he still had a dispirited look on his face, which really disappointed him. He didn't expect that today he looked a bit like the past. Had he figured it out? Since Master Ouyang could be the sect leader of a sect, he naturally had a clear mind. He also had doubts about what had happened in the past, but he didn't find any evidence. Moreover, Zhang Li was depressed so he could only give up in the end. Master Ouyang came back to his senses. He looked at Yun Chujio and said in a low voice, You have a peerless treasure to offer to the sect? What kind of treasure is it? Master Ouyang, it's the earth fire of a king-level fire spirit beast. I risked my life to get it. Yun Chujio said with a smug look. Elder Wan said in a bad mood, You're really not afraid of the wind blowing your tongue out. It's just a little bit of earth fire, what kind of peerless treasure is it? Deliberately exaggerating and playing to the gallery, it really deserves to be punished. Zhao Hui and the others were so scared that they trembled. It's over. They just said that they were going to be unlucky, it was really bad. Yun Chujio glanced at Elder Wan. Elder Wan, do you have clairvoyant eyes or foresight? How do you know that I only have a little bit of earth fire? Elder Wan snorted coldly, The King Fire spiritual beast's territorial awareness is very strong. You are already burning incense for being able to obtain even a little bit of it. Sect Master, this Yun Chujio has always been causing trouble. This time it might be because she went to collect the King Fire spiritual beast's earth fire that she caused such a big trouble, but it was blamed on Qing Bo. Moreover, these people are also accomplices. Sect Master, please investigate. Zhao Hui and the others were so scared that they knelt on the ground on the spot and kept on crying out their grievances. Yun Chujio sneered in her heart. This old bastard is really hard to deal with. He actually wants to bite back. Fuck, if I ask you to bite back, he'll bite off your big teeth. Master Ouyang frowned. He naturally wouldn't believe Elder Wan's words, but he also felt that Yun Chujio was exaggerating. Just as he was about to say something, he heard Yun Chujio sigh. Master Ouyang, I have already made an agreement with those king-level fire spirit beasts. Every month I can go and collect some king-level fire spirit beasts' earth fire. Since Elder One said that I was talking nonsense, then forget it. Just pretend that I didn't say anything. We will go down now. Once Yun Chujio's words left her mouth, everyone was stunned. Go and collect some every month? Even if the amount collected each time wasn't much, it was still quite considerable. At least maintaining a sword forging hall shouldn't be a problem. This was simply a great thing. Elder Duanmu and Elder Dongfang of the sword forging hall of the upper house revealed looks of anticipation. If they had the earth fire of a king fire spirit beast, they would definitely be able to forge a better quality sword. However, was what this little girl said true? Could she be talking nonsense? The king fire spirit beast was unruly and unruly. It even risked its life to fight for it. Otherwise they wouldn't have never had any designs on their earth fire. Elder Wan was stunned for a moment before he sneered, "This is simply a big lie. This is simply impossible." Yun Chujio shrugged her shoulders. "Believe it or not, I originally came with a heart full of enthusiasm to contribute to the sect. First I was splashed with cold water by Manager Zheng of the Bounty Hall, and now I'm splashed with dog blood by Elder Wan. I'm really very disappointed. Sect Master, just treat me as if I'm talking nonsense. Punish me however you want. My heart is cold." After saying that, Yun Chujio stood there with a disheartened expression. She looked very bleak. The eyes of Elder Dongfang from the sword forging hall of the upper house flashed. He had to help this little girl put in some good words. If this matter was true, then wouldn't the earth fire belong to him? Thus, Elder Dongfang said to Master Ouyang, "Master, although Yun Chujio's personality is a little lively, she shouldn't lie about such a big matter. Why don't we listen to what the other disciples say?" Master Ouyang nodded and looked at Zhao Hui and the others. "Tell us what you know." Zhao Hui and the others naturally didn't dare to hide it. They told them how Yun Chujio had made them pour cold water on her, how she had gotten close to those king-level fire spirit beasts, and how she had eagerly asked for earth fire from the king-level fire spirit beasts. Everyone frowned when they heard this. What they said didn't have any reference value. This could only mean that those king-level fire spirit beasts had agreed to let Yun Chujio collect earth fire once. At this moment, Zhang Li said with a hoarse voice, "I can prove that what Martial Nephew Yun said is true. I saw those king fire spirit beasts eating roasted meat with Martial Nephew Yun with my own eyes, and they were very friendly towards Martial Nephew Yun." The moment Zhang Li said that, the meeting hall instantly exploded. What a joke. Didn't fire spirit beasts only eat ores? How could they possibly eat barbecued meat? Just as Yun Chujio was about to continue teasing these old things, the small silver snake in her sleeve pocket began to wriggle uneasily. Yun Chujio could not help but frown. She was afraid that something would happen to Di Biming, so she no longer kept him in suspense. She directly took out a fiery red shuttlecock from her storage ring. "This is made from the hair given to me by the King Fire Spirit Beast. This can at least prove that I have a good relationship with them, right? In the future I can regularly collect their earth fire and offer it to the sect. However, I have two requests. First, let the Discipline Hall investigate Manager Zheng of the Bounty Hall. I suspect that he is neglecting his duty and accepting bribes." PNDNOV1 After Yun Chujio finished speaking, she did not wait for Master Ouyang to speak. She held her stomach and ran out of the meeting hall. Everyone was dumbfounded. However, looking at the fiery red shuttlecock on the ground, they believed Yun Chujio's words. The King of Fire Spirit Beasts loved their fur very much. Even if it fell on the ground, they would carefully collect it. These fur were definitely given to Yun Chujio by them of their own accord. If this was true, the Nameless Sword sect would have an advantage that other sects did not have. If they wanted to refine some special medicinal pills, they would have to come over and beg the nameless sword sect to give them some earth fire. Just thinking about it made them feel very comfortable. Therefore the two requests that Yun Chujio made were not a big deal. If she proposed to directly become an inner sect disciple, some old fogies might object. However, it was only a qualification for the inner sect selection. It was really not a big deal. On the other side, Yun Chujio held her stomach and finally found a remote place. She took out the small silver snake and asked anxiously, "Prince Charming, what happened to you? I feel that my body is bloated just like the last time when I turned into a human. I don't know if I'm going to turn into a human again. Quickly take me back to the courtyard," a certain honorable man said helplessly. He simply could not imagine that if he really turned into a human in the meeting hall just now, wouldn't he be running around in front of everyone? After hearing that, Yun Chujio was first stunned, then she rubbed her hands. Really? Doesn't that mean that he'll be able to feast my eyes again? Haha, let's go, we're going back now. Ah, today is really a good day. A certain honored warrior. He wanted to die, really, the kind that would not live even if he died. Yun Chujio happily brought the silver snake back to her courtyard. This fellow had long forgotten about the people in the meeting hall. What could be more important than admiring the body of a gigolo? After returning to the courtyard, the silver snake directly crawled into the quilt. This way, even if it really turned into a human, at least it wouldn't run away. Hei Shinjio blinked her eyes and thought to herself, this pretty boy is quite smart. In this way, won't she be unable to see anything? If she had known this would happen, she would have found an excuse not to enter the courtyard. It was really a misstep. However, this fellow still moved a chair to sit by the bedside and waited anxiously for the small silver snake to turn into a human. Although she couldn't feast her eyes on it, it was still a good opportunity to take advantage of it. However, after a while, the little silver snake did not turn into a human. Yun Chujio's identity jade tablet started to tremble. Only then did this fellow remember that there was still a group of people waiting for her in the meeting hall. Now the problem came. She was definitely worried about leaving the little silver snake alone in the dormitory. However, if she brought the little silver snake along, what if she ran away halfway? It was fine if the 6 King Fire spiritual beasts saw her last time, but if others saw her, she would die of heartache. This fellow blinked his eyes and then replied weakly, "Oh, Master Ouyang, my stomach is hurting badly. I can't go over there for a while. Don't worry. As long as you agree to my request, I will definitely go to collect the earth fire on time. If I can't do it, you can deal with me as you wish." The corner of Master Ouyang's eyes twitched when he received Hei Xingjia's message. However, he discussed it with everyone. After all, Yun Chujio's 2 requests were not excessive. Moreover, he was not afraid that she would not admit to it. Therefore, Master Ouyang immediately ordered people to fulfill Yun Chujio's 2 requests. When the people from the discipline hall arrived at the bounty hall, Manager Zheng's face immediately turned ashen. He didn't expect that Yun Chujio, a mere outer court disciple, could really contend with him. He had profited a lot these years and he was probably really done for. On the other side, Hei Shinjio waited until the sky turned dark, but she didn't see the little silver snake turn into a human. He angrily pulled the little silver snake out of his blanket. "Prince Charming, are you kidding me? Change." Hei Shinjio was so angry. She made the sky happy for a long time and even wasted the chance to bargain with old man Ouyang and the others. It was all because of this unreliable gigolo. No matter how angry Hei Shinjio was, she did not delay her dinner. She began to eat while muttering. A certain lord was in a bad mood, so he just sat there with his eyes closed. He had no intention of eating at all. Yun Chujio became even angrier when she saw him. "Hey, do you still want to go on a hunger strike to protest? I'm the one who should be angry, okay? Do you want to eat? If you don't, I'll feed the ribs to Buttface." The little silver snake still did not move, obviously not wanting to speak. Yun Chujio rolled her eyes and said with a sinister smile, "Hurry up and eat. If you're not obedient, I'll help you check your body." A certain being's body stiffened, and his pair of vertical pupils stared coldly at Hei Shinjio. Hei Shinjio could even feel that certain being was about to explode in anger. Unfortunately, this guy knew that certain being was just a paper tiger in front of her, so he was not afraid at all. Yun Chujio shamelessly poked the little silver snake's head. "If you continue to stare at me, I will really attack you." Previously in the script, Before Yun Chujio could finish her words, the little silver snake had already started to gnaw on the ribs. A certain someone secretly gritted his teeth. Little rascal, when I fully recover, HMP. Seeing that a certain being had submitted, Yun Chujio's lips revealed a hint of complacency. Today was the day to be drunk, and today was the day to be drunk. If he could bully her for a day, then so be it. As for the future, who cares? At night, when a certain being was threatened by Hei Shinjio, he had no choice but to sing a lullaby in his head. A certain being felt that he really couldn't live this life anymore. The next morning, Yun Chujio opened her eyes in a refreshed manner. She thought that the small silver snake would still hide out like yesterday, but she didn't expect that the small silver snake would obediently lie on the side of the bed. The corner of Yun Chujio's mouth curled up. Had she broken a broken pot? She did not know that a certain someone had thought things through. Right now he had no way of dealing with the little rascal. He might as well grit his teeth and endure it. After he recovered, he would slowly settle the score with her. After breakfast, Yun Chujio received a notice from the Miscellaneous Affairs Hall, asking her to go to the Miscellaneous Affairs Hall to register for the inner disciple selection. After receiving the notice, Yun Chujio did not rush to the Miscellaneous Affairs Hall directly. Instead, she strolled towards Zhang Li's courtyard. Before she entered the courtyard, she heard Zhuang Hong's disdainful voice coming from inside. Zhang Li, I've really underestimated the extent of your shamelessness. Do you know that every time Master sees you, he will be very sad? You'd better not appear in front of Master in the future, or else you'll be in trouble. Junior brother Zhuang, of course I've always treated you well. When you first entered the sect, I was the one who taught you swordsmanship step by step. Why are you targeting me now? Targeting you? You don't have the right to make me target you. I just don't want to see Master sad. You better take care of yourself. A person like you should consciously get out of the nameless sword sect. Zhang Li was angry and disappointed. He didn't know what to say for a moment. Yo, Martial Uncle Zhang, it's so early in the morning. Why is there a dog barking in your yard? Yun Chujio said as she walked into the yard. Zhuang Hong wasn't stupid. Of course, he could hear that Yun Chujio was scolding him. He glared at Yun Chujio fiercely. Yun Chujio, don't think that you're great just because you made some earth fire. A piece of trash like you won't be able to enter the inner sect. TSK, you probably don't know yet, right? Martial Uncle Zhang is also going to participate in the inner sect selection. Are you afraid? Zhuang Hong's expression immediately changed. Zhang Li, you can't be so ignorant, right? Are you trying to anger Master to death? Zhang Li was just about to speak when Yun Chujio spoke first. The sect master wants to see Martial Uncle Zhang pull himself together the most, so why would he be angry? I'm afraid the one who's angry is you, right? TSK, someone must be so afraid that he can't sleep. After all, Martial Uncle Zhang's spiritual power is much stronger than someone else's. Someone's wishful thinking is about to fail. Zhuang Hong's expression became even more unsightly. He gritted his teeth and said, Zhang Li, even if you can re-enter the inner sect, Master will definitely not take you in again. Just give up on this idea. After Zhuang Hong finished speaking, he left angrily. Zhang Li laughed bitterly and then looked at Yun Chujio. Martial nephew Yun, why did you offend him just to stand up for me? Besides, I won't participate in the inner sect disciple selection. If you don't participate in the inner sect disciple selection, how can you fight with Wan Qingba? How can you fight with Elder Wan? Martial Uncle Zhang, don't let me look down on you. Yun Chujio said this and ignored Zhang Li. She directly left the courtyard. This guy was certain that Zhang Li would participate in the inner disciple selection in the end. She was helping him as well as herself. It would be even more difficult for her to gain a foothold in the inner sect. She had to get a few helpers for herself. Mu Jiang and Zhao Hui would definitely participate in the inner disciple selection. Moreover, their spiritual power was considered to be among the best among the outer disciples. There was a high chance that they would pass the selection successfully. Although Yuan Qi and the other spiritual power could not compare to Zhao Hui and the others, they had the support of their families. With more spiritual weapons they might be able to pass the selection. In this way at least she would not be fighting alone. As the selection was to begin in 5 days, there were many disciples who signed up at the Miscellaneous Affairs office. Yun Chujio waited for quite a while before it was her turn. According to the regulations of the Nameless Sword sect, only outer disciples who had entered the sect for more than 5 years were qualified to participate in the selection of inner disciples. Therefore, Yun Chujia's special case naturally attracted the attention of many people. Of course, most of these gazes were filled with disdain. They felt that Yun Chujio was overestimating herself. One had to know that the intersect selection was a real sword and spear competition. Although Yun Chujio had randomly encountered a dead rat and learned 3 mysterious sword moves, now that everyone had learned those 3 moves. Moreover, Yun Chujia's spiritual power was much lower than the others. She might not even pass the first round of the selection. Yun Chujio did not care about these stares at all. After she finished signing up, she went straight to the number 9 sword forging hall. Hall Master Zhuge saw her and said with a cold face, "You want to participate in the selection of inner disciples? What nonsense. Don't lose your life by accident." Yun Chujio understood Hall Master Zhuge's temper and knew that he was showing concern for her in a disguised way. She smiled and said, "I cherish my life very much. Don't worry, nothing will happen to me." Hall Master Zhuge's face darkened when he saw Yun Chujio's heartless look. He was about to continue saying something when Yun Chujio said with a smile, "Hall Master, here, this is for you." Hall Master Zhuge looked at the item that Yun Chujio handed over and was immediately shocked. This is the earth fire of a king-level fire spirit beast? Hall Master Zhuge did not expect that Yun Chujio would leave him a copy of the King Fire Essence Beast's Earth Fire. Speaking of which, he had always been indifferent to this little girl. Moreover, every time she was in trouble he had the heart but was powerless to help her. He really felt guilty. Hall Master Zhuge was at a loss for words. Just when he did not know what to say, Yun Chujio said with a smile, "Hall Master, are you going to be so touched that you're going to cry?" Hall Master Zhuge glared at her. "Nonsense. If you have the time to talk nonsense, you might as well think about how to save your life. Wan Qingba will definitely have to do something. Don't be careless." Yun Chujio narrowed her eyes. "When the time comes, I will take it as it comes. This time I must enter the inner sect. I will kill anyone who stands in my way." When Hall Master Zhuge and the north, south, east, and west heard Yun Chujio's chilling words, the worry in their hearts was immediately reduced by more than half. Although this little girl had a temperamental personality, she seemed to be able to turn the situation around every time. This time they believed that she could do it as well. Yun Chujio chatted with them for a while more before she hopped away. The disciples of the sword forging hall were different from ordinary disciples. They did not participate in the selection of inner disciples. Their honor and disgrace were all tied to their respective hall masters. If the hall masters could be promoted from the lower house to the middle house, their status would naturally change from outer disciples to inner disciples. This was also the reason why many people were willing to become sword-forging disciples. Yun Chujio hopped around the bounty hall again. As she wished, she saw that Steward Zheng was no longer there. When Steward Qian, who was on duty, saw this guy, his attitude was extremely good. What a joke. He did not want to repeat Manager Zheng's mistake. Therefore, He Xinjiu exchanged the remaining earth fire for 10,000 sect contribution points. After Master Ouyang found out, the corner of his mouth twitched. He originally thought that the 2 requests of the little girl were a little simple, but it turned out that they were just additional conditions. Yun Chujio found Zhao Hui again and planned to understand the selection process of the inner sect and some small news. Zhao Hui was quick-witted. After seeing Yun Chujio's outstanding qualities, he made up his mind to follow her. Therefore he told Yun Chujio everything he knew. Yun Chujio simply had dinner in Zhao Hui's courtyard. After chatting for a while, she returned to her dormitory. Pan DN0V1 in a trance, she felt as if she had forgotten something. However, after thinking about it for a while, she couldn't recall anything, so she decided not to think about it and continued to cultivate. It was only when this fellow was yawning and preparing to sleep that she remembered what she had forgotten. Cough cough, she had forgotten to feed the little silver snake dinner. At this moment, a certain honored guest in his sleeve pocket nearly died from anger. This little rascal was so engrossed in eating and drinking with that Zhao Hui that he actually didn't care about whether he was dead or alive. Was he going to starve his husband to death? A certain someone had completely forgotten that he wouldn't die even if he starved for 10 days to half a month. How could he die after just one meal? Yun Chujio looked guilty as she took out the small silver snake from her sleeve pocket. After feeling a certain someone's dense resentment and cold air, she laughed dryly. "My Prince Charming, I'm sorry." I was so engrossed in understanding the selection of the inner sect that I forgot about you. Well, I remember that you said that eating is a waste of time. I'll put a bottle of fasting pills in my sleeve from now on. If you're hungry, you can eat fasting pills. A certain someone, this was torture. Naked torture. Could it be that in her heart, he couldn't be compared to that idiot Buttface? Buttface still had bones to gnaw on. Why did he have to bitterly swallow fasting pills? Therefore, a certain someone closed his eyes and ignored Yun Chujio. Yun Chujio poked the silver snake's head with her hand, but the certain someone acted as if he didn't feel anything and still didn't open his eyes. Yun Chujio was speechless. Why did she feel that ever since the pretty boy turned into the silver snake, his arrogance had disappeared, leaving only arrogance? In the end, Yun Chujio personally fed the small silver snake half a bowl of porridge and a few pieces of ribs. A certain someone finally felt a little better. How confident are you in the selection of the inner sect? A certain someone asked stiffly, but there was an unconcealable concern in his tone. Yun Chujio curled the corners of her lips. 10 points. A certain someone, pretend he didn't ask anything. Chapter 3906. The first round of the selection. Yun Chujio and a certain venerable were talking incoherently. The kitten in the spirit beast pouch was getting restless. When this wretched girl participated in the inner sect selection, she might be killed by someone. Then wouldn't she regain her freedom? Moreover, the idiots in the spirit beast pouch were each dumber than the last. With a little trick, it could eat a few of them. At that time, it would be able to fly freely in the sky and leap freely in the sea. Therefore, the kitten could not wait for the inner disciple selection to begin immediately. However, Hei Shinjio was faced with a difficult question. Should she bring a certain venerated beast along with her? If a certain venerated beast transformed into a human form on the competition stage, the scene would be too beautiful for Hei Shinjio to imagine. However, if she did not bring it along with her, she was afraid that a certain venerated beast would be in danger. Although the small silver snake still had some spiritual power left, if she encountered a powerful opponent, she would only end up dead. In the end, Yun Chujio decided to bring a certain someone with her. At most, she would react to his reaction and adapt to the situation. This guy had prepared a dehua cloth in his storage ring. Once a certain someone transformed, she would immediately cover him so that he would not be exposed. Hei Shinjio said mysteriously to a certain someone, "Prince Charming, if there really is an accident, just cover your face. At that time I will say that the one who ran away was Wu Jie's head." A certain god, should he sympathize with that idiot Shui Wuji, or should he feel miserable for his own situation? Finally, in Cat Cub's anticipation, the selection of the nameless sword sect's inner court disciples began. Yun Chujio strolled to the square of the lower house. At this time there were already several competition stages set up in the square, and under each competition stage there were many disciples gathered. The rules of the first round of the inner sect selection were very simple and crude. That was, only after defeating 5 people in a row could one advance. Moreover, each person only had one chance, whether it was the challenger or the challenged. Once they failed, they would lose the qualification to participate in the selection. The first batch of challengers who entered the arena all thought that their spiritual power was not bad, but no one went up to challenge them. The reason was very simple. Unless they had absolute confidence in winning, they might lose the opportunity to participate in the selection. Naturally, they had to be careful. Therefore, when Yun Chujio arrived, she saw many disciples standing alone on the competition stage. Although there were many disciples gathered under each competition stage, no one went up to challenge them. When Yun Chujio was looking around curiously, Zhao Hui came over. He saw that Yun Chujio was a little curious, so he explained, "Junior sister Yun, you're here? Every year during the selection, it will be like this at the beginning. Now it's a probing stage. When someone goes up to fight, I have a rough estimate in my heart and the scene will become lively." Yun Chujio nodded. This was easy to understand. Knowing yourself and knowing your enemy, you will always win. It was estimated that the first ones to challenge the stage were either pretentious or had no hope of advancing at all. Yun Chujio glanced around and found an empty competition stage in the corner. She said to Zhao Hui, "Senior brother Zhao, you watch first. I'll go up first." The reason why this fellow was so anxious was because he was afraid that something would happen to a certain honored warrior. It was better to end the battle as soon as possible. While Zhao Hui was stunned, Yun Chujio had already squeezed through the crowd and walked towards the competition stage in the corner. Zhao Hui was so anxious that he gritted his teeth. This junior sister Yun was too arrogant. She was definitely going to be eliminated. Chapter 3907, How much money do you need? The moment Yin Chujio stepped onto the competition stage, she immediately attracted the attention of many people. Isn't that Yin Chujio? Is she crazy or stupid? Why is she on the competition stage now? I guess this idiot is participating in the selection for the first time and doesn't know how powerful it is. TSK, a third-level spirit cultivator actually has the nerve to be the first to step onto the stage. She really overestimates herself. Level 3 psychic? Why do I remember that not long ago she was still at level 9 of the spirit transformation realm? Who cares how many levels she has? In any case, she is much lower than us. Let's not talk about it anymore. I want to go up and challenge her. My first victory will depend on her. Perhaps, everyone felt that Yun Chujio, this soft persimmon, was easier to deal with. Therefore they all swarmed under the number 19 competition stage where Yun Chujio was. Moreover, the crowd was arguing over who should go up and challenge. Some even started fighting directly below the stage. It was simply a mess. The discipline hall was responsible for maintaining the order of the inner sect selection competition. Coincidentally, the person on duty today was an old acquaintance of Yin Chujio, Manager Song. After receiving the report, Manager Song went to the scene and saw that his head was buzzing. How could this Yin Chujio cause trouble wherever she went? Were these people full of themselves? Why were they fighting below? With the intervention of the discipline hall, the situation was finally under control. However, there were still many disciples who wanted to compete with Yin Chujio on the stage. Just as Manager Song was about to suppress them, he heard Yin Chujio, who was on the stage, say faintly, "Since you all want to compete with me so much, then let's compete. Whoever has the most money will come up and compete with me." Manager Song's nose almost went crooked from anger. How badly do you need money? You want to make a profit from participating in the selection? In your dreams. Who would have thought that a disciple would immediately say, "I'll bid 100 upper-grade spirit stones, I must be the first one on the stage today." 100? Aren't you too stingy? "I'll bid 500. I'll bid 800. Manager Song was speechless as he looked at the sky. Were these people crazy? How could Manager Song know that those disciples were already hot-blooded because of the dispute? At this moment, the competition was no longer about who would compete with Yin Chujio first, but about competing with each other. Yun Chujio simply took a chair from her storage ring, crossed her legs, and watched the people below while munching on melon seeds until her face was red and her neck was thick. Finally, a disciple shouted the price of 10,000 high-grade spirit stones. Although the others were not convinced, they felt that it was not worth it to spend 10,000 spirit stones just to fight for their lives, thus they all stopped fighting. A glimmer of light flashed in the disciple's eyes, and he jumped onto the competition stage. Yun Chujio slowly put the chair into her storage ring, and then stretched out her hand. "You transfer the spirit stones to me first, or else the senior brothers below the stage won't agree." Immediately, the disciples who had failed the auction earlier began to clamor. That disciple had no choice but to transfer 10,000 high-grade spirit stones to Yun Chujio. Yun Chujio was about to speak, but her identity jade tablet started to tremble. After Yun Chujio sent her divine sense into it. Zhao Hu's worried voice came from inside. "Junior Martial Sister Yun, the person on the stage is called Zhang Su. He's Wan Qingba's man. You have to be careful." Yun Chujio acknowledged and then raised her eyes to size up Zhang Su. She was a little puzzled at first. Was this person crazy enough to pay 10,000 high-grade spirit stones just to fight with her? So it turned out that he was up to something. At this time, the disciple sneered and said, "Yun Chujio, the swords and sabers on the stage have no eyes. If I'm not careful, I might hurt you. This 10,000 high-grade spirit stones can be considered as compensation for you." You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.